Welcome into the Attitude of Aggression Wrestling Podcast. Happy 4th of July weekend. Happy 250th birthday to the United States. Congratulations to the United States men's national team on their way to the Sweet 16 in the World Cup. Man, that was a hell of a game. Fun stuff all the way around. It is great to be back here to talk pro wrestling here on the return of the Big Five Project. I am your host, Dave Unger, coming to you here today to talk to you guys about WrestleMania 13, our next stop on our long, long road of wrestling history here today. That is awesome. The one and only PC Tunney feeling very patriotic today. Tunney, how you doing, buddy? I mean, you are feeling it. If you were wearing one of those flag shirts, I could call you the charisma vacuum that is Lex Luger, but I will avoid doing that. How you doing, man? I dig the hat.
Oh, say, can you see that should not have been a red card? That ref can fuck himself. Now we don't have Balogun anymore.
Yeah, that's going to be the problem for the next game is you lose your. Well, they got Pulisic,
I hope you
so
liked it while it lasted.
yeah, it was fun while it lasted. So as you guys know, PC Tunney is here. You saw him just now. He will be here for the duration of this event, but I want to welcome into the show somebody who is no stranger to the Attitude of Aggression Wrestling podcast, but he is a stranger to the Big Five Project. And he is making his debut here today, even though I've asked him numerous times and he's always just told me to fuck off. But, he actually decided to show up here today. It is the one and only Christopher Platt, the voice of the Chair Shot, the Mr. Velvet Pipes. The guy's got a lot of different nicknames. I call him one of my true friends. I mean, Chris, you and I have chopped it up for real. New Orleans and LA and all these places in between. Welcome to the Big Five Project, my brother. How are you doing?
Brother, we've talked together, we've drank together, we've ate together, we've had a good time together. I consider you one of my true friends as well, man. It's a pleasure to be here. I can't match Tunney with the American hat, but what I do have here is, if you all can see on camera, this is an actual copy of the United States Constitution, because how can you possibly play the game if you don't know the rules? So happy birthday to America, and shout out to the U.S. soccer team too, man. I'm trying to keep my hopes tempered, but they're bringing me in. Like, I watched the game yesterday. They looked phenomenal. That obviously wasn't a red card. We all know that. That's total bullshit. We all call total bullshit on that. But they're sucking me in, man, and I should know better, because once they get to some of those better European teams, it might get a little spooky. But I'm enjoying the ride while we're on it.
Yeah, well, one of those better European teams is coming up in a couple of days in Seattle, as they'll take on Belgium, who got lucky to get by Senegal, I would say. We'll see. I think they've got a decent shot at getting by them, but then, after you get beyond that, you got Spain or Portugal probably lurking out there, and that might be the end of the road. But we'll see what happens, man. It was yes, sir.
Croatia's going to beat Portugal. It's on right now. I'm calling it.
Okay. You've done very well with your predictions so far. Well, you were doing great with Senegal before they collapsed, that sort of thing. But
shout out to Tunney though, Senegal, yeah. Right on, brother, right on.
Shout out to PC Tunney for doing an excellent job with his prognostication of soccer. Now, if we were just drinking with the Scottish people in Boston, have they actually, even though they've been eliminated, I wonder if the Scottish are hanging out in Boston for another week or so. Yeah, there's no booze left. They're not going to stick around.
That's been one of the coolest things about this, is watching all the Europeans come over here and get introduced to like American food and different restaurants and stuff like that. That's been
absolutely awesome. Yeah, they have been literally drinking in Americana in multiple different places.
The Tartan Army thinks
Seattle
something because they clean Boston out of beer. I invite you all to travel to Southeast Wisconsin, where we will show you how to actually drink.
Pop.
That's a challenge to Tartan Army there. Let's go.
Nobody drinks like Midwestern boys, man. I second that emotion as a fellow Midwestern boy. Nobody drinks like we do, man. I drink. I'll drink to that.
every day for about 25 years, so it's no big
I was saying, Chris, if you ever come on Unidentified History, man, keep that copy of the Constitution very close to you because we talk about the travesty that the government is doing to the Constitution. Not the government, all of it, but maybe the intelligence agencies are shitting on the Constitution quite a bit. But
Oh yeah,
that's
this has
for
been
another
happening
show.
since 2001. That's a different show, but this has been happening
It's
since
been happening since
2001. They have
1947, since the NSA was
touche,
enacted, buddy.
touche. They've been slowly taking they've been dismantling the Constitution slowly, brick by brick. That's a
They
different
have.
show, but
That
we're
is a
on the
different
same
show.
page here. Yes,
You
really,
have a
since
standing invitation to all of my shows, Chris. Even if you haven't watched any of Game of Thrones, just show up, man. I mean, Ray's
I got
faked his way through a
really,
bunch of shit in the
really,
past.
really, since the Federal Reserve was established, we were fucked. After once that happened, we were fucked. After that, it was all downhill after that.
the amount of preparation Dave puts into, well, I mean, every show that he does is excellent, but the synopsis and guide that you get, the study plan that you get for unidentified history is top notch, Chris. Like, it's you got to
Yeah,
come on. Dave's right.
the plan is to do the Roswell episode on Wednesday, July 8th, the 79th anniversary of Roswell. So yeah, I've got a lot of work to do on that one, but we'll see because that's a rabbit hole and a half. But we're not here to talk about Roswell tonight. Yes, sir.
Wait, can I just say? I apologize, man. Can I just say one thing before we get into the topic, just real quick? Bob
Of course.
Lazar,
Yes.
full of shit, or is he on to something? What do you think? What say you?
I have been, I think I was like listening back to an episode. I'm probably around 65-35 believing Bob Lazar. I think there are issues with what Bob has said as far as his educational background. I know he did not go to MIT. There's some other things, a lot of the physicists will sit there and say he's full of shit. But his story has remained largely consistent since 89. And there's been a few little variations and things like that, but Bob has never been one of these guys who went out and sought acclamation. He never went out and sought all the money. It wasn't until recently when S4 came out that he's actually been starting to show up and do podcasts. So I have a tendency to believe Bob for the most part. The majority of me believes him. It's like I said, 65, maybe 70-30, that sort of thing. Do I believe him? That's my I mean, if he's telling the truth, it rewrites everything that we know about physics, about whatever the phenomenon is, whether it is an alien, whether it's NHI, whether they're interdimensional, whatever the case is. If he's telling the truth, then there is something that basically explains how physics can be completely eviscerated. It's like, no, we're not going faster than the speed of light. We're bending space-time. So we're not really violating the rules of physics. We're just making them up as we go, so to speak. So I don't know if did I answer your question?
No, you did, man. It's interesting, man, because if you listen to a lot of experts that do like psychedelics, that are big on like psychedelics,
Yep.
they say that, so number one, we live in a three-dimensional universe. What is it? Height, width, and depth. I would add time as a fourth dimension, but that's just me personally. But
Right.
but a lot of the people that that are really big into psychedelics, they say that just because we live in this 3 or 4 dimensional universe doesn't mean that that's all the planes of existence. Or that's all the dimensions on this particular plane of existence.
It's
So
not.
their argument with psychedelics is that, okay, it's not necessarily aliens you're seeing. What you're seeing is whatever the psychedelics do, they allow you to tap into that part of your brain that allows you to see alternate or other dimensions on this particular plane of existence, which
Mhm.
honestly, I think that there are alien beings. Like I don't know how you feel about the ancient Sumia and Sumerians and their origin story and stuff like that. Like I just feel like the universe is way too vast for us to be out here by ourselves. I think that's an
Yep.
arrogant stance for us to take. But it's just I
It's
know it's
statistically, it's a ridiculous stance to take. It's just like there's no way. There's no way that we,
yeah.
out of the vastness of the universe, we're it. That makes no damn sense. Now, whether
Go
they've gotten here or not, whether they could find us or not, is another story entirely. But
So
yeah, on the subjects of
my bad, man.
psychedelics,
Just
man,
let me stop, man. Because we could
I
keep going for the
come
next 2 or
on
3
to
hours. So let me
unidentified
let me
history,
be
Chris.
quiet.
Come onto the show. We could talk about all this weird shit, like Like I'll say is like you've heard of what DMT is, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole machine elves and all sorts of wild shit like that. So we can talk about that some other time. But let's get into the wrestling stuff here today. Let me ask you guys. Let's talk a little Night of Champions and where we're going right now as far as like the SummerSlam. Okay, so Night of Champions came and went. Uh, Obafemi wins the King of the Ring. Io Sky wins the Queen of the Ring. Immediately challenges Liv Morgan for the title at SummerSlam. Yeah, I think Tunny, very well done, sir, very well done. We've got, I think probably what the biggest upset. I mean, people are calling it the upset of the year, and it might very well be. Although I think Tunny, I will pat both of us on the back as soon as they made that Sami Zayn in the main event, and we've been talking about this for this. What is this, Jam in the Sand 14, Chris? Is that where we are right now? I think we're at Jam in the Sand 14. Um,
Has it been that many, man? I will bow to your expertise on this one, brother.
But I think like when I remember specifically back at the Rumble when Sammy took on Drew, and I know Tony and I we were talking about that when we did the Big Five project for Royal Rumble. I don't know what it was, but we were talking about that Rumble, this year's Rumble, and we said if Sammy goes in the main event, he's leaving with the championship. And it didn't happen. And as soon as it didn't happen, Tony and I realized he was going to lose. Now, we didn't expect him to get trounced like he did by Drew McIntyre, but that's what happened. But I was texting Tony at Night of Champions, and as soon as that match got switched to the main event, I said, this is it. He's got a real shot of winning this thing. And he did. And Sami Zayn pulls off this massive upset and becomes the WWE champion. He's caught a lot more backlash for this whole victory than I really thought he would, Tuddy. I mean, there's like some people who are like genuinely pissed about it, and I don't understand that. Uh, but let me go to you guys and your thoughts kind of on how Night of Champions unfolded in general. It was a pretty good card. I mean, I love the fact that the Saudi crowds get these good events, and that they get to enjoy some of these better cards and that sort of thing. But Tony, I'll go to you first on this. Your thoughts on how Night of Champions went down?
I love it when we're cruising together. That
Hey.
excellent. That the picture I just hold up was him driving in the convertible with the thing and the music up. Also, the post he put out on social media, leaning on the counter with the dove next to him, saying, "Wishing my best friend Cody Rhodes a happy birthday," was like, "Oh, you're good, Sammy." I was sitting in this literal chair on Saturday watching, and when the crossroads got reversed and he got rolled up, and in that split second, I'm like thinking to all the conversations Dave and I and Dan and I have had, and I'm sure Chris and I have had these conversations about people who deserve to have the WWE title before they're done. I'm like, oh my God, it's going to happen. And it happened. And I jumped out of this chair and I yelled, yes, 3 times. And then I yelled, he did it. And I sat back down here and literally started tearing up watching him. Just so happy I was for the person Sami Zayn. It was one of the greatest moments in professional wrestling history, in my opinion. Now we can go to the other side of it. How stupid has the booking been for Obafemi since WrestleMania? So much so that we're going to have him win the King of the Ring, not get a title shot, and then switch over. I told Dan last week before all this even happened. Rules in WWE are like stop signs in parking lots. They're just guidelines, folks. And the sooner you get over that shit, the more you can enjoy this shit. Overall, it's great. I can't wait for the Hell in a Cell, Dave. I think we're moving in a good direction. If you can just get past the weirdness of getting there.
Yeah, before I go to Chris, I'll say, yeah, I don't understand the logic behind why did Obafemi? It wouldn't it have made more sense for Brock to interfere, cost him the King of the Ring, and then they go and they have this Hell in a Cell match rather than him win. And it's so ironic that we're talking about this here, right? When we're covering WrestleMania 13, where Stone Cold wins the Royal Rumble and doesn't get the shot at the title because of a strange set of circumstances that we'll kind of recap. I know we talked about it last time. And now we get a similar situation here. Obafemi wins King of the Ring. He's got a shot at the title, but through a strange set of circumstances, the title will always be there. I'm going after Brock. What?
My only thing thinking about it is this: they don't do King of the Ring all the time, right? And at some point, people class themselves out of that tournament, right? So if you and it's important to have the ruler be a King of the Ring. So if you are Triple H and you're looking at it like I may never have the opportunity to add that crown to the person who's going to be my 1A for the next close to a decade. I just that's the only way I can think of why they did it that way, but they've been all over the place on that. I'm going to sit back and let you guys talk for a bit here. I know Chris hasn't jumped in yet, so I don't want to keep interrupting.
Chris, jump on in there, man. Your thoughts on Night of Champions, and I mean this whole Obafemi weirdness that they've done here.
Brother, I'm the king of interruptions and tangents, so I'm not going to eat your lunch for any of that whatsoever. Just to double back real quick, it was an awesome moment for Sami Zayn. That's cool. I'm glad he got that. I don't know where we go from there, but it was an awesome moment. Overall, the card was really good. I'm glad that y'all brought up the Obafemi thing because I was hoping that you all could explain to me in kayfabe why any of that makes any sense whatsoever. And obviously you all are on the same page that I'm on as well. Like it number one, it makes him look like an idiot because if we're talking kayfabe, I'm sure Bob Holly thought that he was going to get another shot after that Royal Rumble versus Brock Lesnar. Kofi Kingston had a 6-month reign with the title. He lost to Brock Lesnar in 7 seconds, and he never got another opportunity at the title. Like these things. And then after WrestleMania, CM Punk talked about how, these title shots or opportunities aren't always given, but I stay ready so I don't have to get ready because you never know when one might fall out the sky. But again, it doesn't make sense to me. Like I'm looking forward to the match. I think the Hell in a Cell is going to be great. I love the feud between them. I was kind of leaning towards because I'm sure Dave and Tony, y'all saw the online chatter talking about maybe he fights Brock night 1 and then fights for the title night 2. I was kind of leaning towards that because you kind of have lightning in a bottle right here, and we're gonna get into this because it's very like you brought up, Dave. It's very similar to the Austin rides. This is very
It
similar.
really
You
is.
caught lightning in a bottle. You just kind of got to hold on to it and shoot it to the moon and see what happens. And I feel like they're kind of like doing a lot of start and stops and stutterings with Oba. Like they don't really. Once you have him beat Brock Lesnar the way that he beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, you got to strap the rock. I feel as if you have to strap the rocket onto him and keep it pushing. And now it might turn out like Lex Luger, but it also might turn out like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like you don't know, but I feel like that's the trajectory. Like that's where that has to go. And none of this makes sense to me, man. And honestly, it low key makes him look like a J bro. It does.
Oh, he
Now,
won't.
really
now,
does.
let me say this real quick. Let me
He
say
won't
this real
really
quick.
gun this
No. Hold on. Just real quick
thing,
before you
okay?
say
He won't
something.
really gun this King of the Ring.
No. Just real quick. Let me just say this real quick. Now, okay, you probably couldn't get Brock to fly all the way to Saudi Arabia for a 3-minute run in. I get that. But at that point in time, if you knew that one thing, you couldn't get him to come to Baltimore or wherever the hell they were wrestling during this entire tournament. You couldn't get him to come anywhere there
Right.
and
Right.
and
Attack
cost
and injure
Oba.
him and there's something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could have had, Oba fly up to, buttfuck Canada or wherever Brock is at, and he gets it. Like, okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but what I'm saying is like there were ways to get out of this,
Yeah, he
and
could have showed up at Brock's house in Minneapolis and said his Sable home, and then just kind
that
of
right.
taking Brock's ass to task there. I mean,
I am here to avenge Mark Merrill.
You
that's right. That'd
touche,
be
a
awesome.
fellow brother,
That'd be
a
awesome.
fellow brother.
And he's not all that.
I swear to
Tony,
God, I didn't know. Go ahead, go ahead, Dave. I apologize.
no, Tony, you were saying how King of the Ring doesn't happen all the time, although that seems to be changing now. I mean, are we moving back
Yes.
towards where King of the Ring is now? You've got the big 4 events. Money in the Bank is the 5th one. I mean, are we now talking a big 6? Because if you look at the stakes that are on the line for King and Queen of the Ring, and this whole clusterfuck that they're doing with Oba notwithstanding, Um, that's still, I mean, now you're looking at, because now you, and I want to tie this into where I want to go with SummerSlam, but I mean, this event is starting to recapture some of its former luster. Now, I still think, like we said on what is it, either on Mindless Wrestling Podcast or DWI, the whole thing about should they have more than one match to decide this in one night, and I adamantly think so. But should the King and Queen of the Ring tournament be looked at? And I'm not saying you have to make it their own pay per view, but Night of Champions is now starting to kind of, because it's including this, starting to morph into a bigger event.
Well, the name becomes stupid. Night of Champions.
Yeah.
It should be a night of championship matches. You have enough titles. That's what the name was started for. But the thing is they don't want to do a King of the Ring pay-per-view because they don't want to have to do it every year. Now they've done it for a couple years after they didn't do it for a couple years after they did it for a couple years. They've been doing this the whole time. Brett won back to back, but they didn't win it in back to back years,
No,
right?
no, what I'm
91
right.
and
And I get what you're saying, but I'm saying if they're going to do this new gimmick where, okay, you've got SummerSlam as 2 nights, right? And they're going to do this gimmick where the winner of the King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring get to choose. So it's like a mini Rumble. Like the Rumble winner gets to choose WrestleMania. Now these guys get to choose SummerSlam because you're elevating SummerSlam to this event. And I want to go somewhere with that right after I yield the floor to you guys. But I mean, it seems like this is becoming a bigger event now.
Here's the thing, though. They changed the rules again this year. It was you get the shot for this, you get the shot at your brand's champion. And then when Oba won, he comes out and says, I get to choose who I want. And that's why it's like,
Right.
you gotta just
and that's where I'm coming from, because Dave, I agree with you. I think that they are trying to set this up to be a big deal every single year, but then they step on their own dick by letting Oba say, okay, I can get the title anytime. I'm going to go have this feud with Brock. So like, I feel bad for Triple H. I'm not the biggest fan of his booking, but I also understand where he's coming from, because he's got a lot of masters to serve, and we don't know the ins and outs and all the minutia that goes on behind the scenes. I feel like at his core, Triple H is an old school wrestling fan. Like, he knows what this thing is supposed to look like. And I honestly think at his core, he's trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube to some extent. I just don't know if it's possible in this day and era right now.
Right. And I mean, you got to feel kind of, it's weird because like Oba kind of sabotaged his own booking, even though he didn't really, but their creative kind of sabotaged their own booking. It's like, what did you guys just do here? Where I wanted to go though is I want to ask you guys, I'm like looking at the card that's already coming up for SummerSlam, and we know a few matches, right? We know we're going to get Liv versus EO 2, basically this time for the championship. We know we got
Electric
Oba
Boogaloo.
versus Electric Boogaloo. We know we got Oba taking on Brock, Hell in the Cell match. Now we've got Roman versus Seth, which, Tony, again, this is something that you've been talking about for a while. And now the way that they got to that is kind of clever. It raises a question. What do we do with Rhea Ripley? Is Stephanie Vecchia ready to come back and challenge her? I don't know. But I'm looking at the card already and I'm thinking to myself, are we at a point now? This will be the second year in a row that, just looking at this on paper, SummerSlam is the better card over WrestleMania. You guys see that as being a problem right now, where SummerSlam is like, it's like almost like WrestleMania is like, well, let's try a couple things out. Okay, we saw how that reacted. Now we're going to fix it at SummerSlam. Like last year, where they had Cena take the title from Cody, and they realized over the summer this heel run is a flop. Flipping babyface, you had one of the biggest moments of all of last year when the Titantron changed. Now this year, and I liked most of the card for WrestleMania 42, and that, but for a certain match in AAA that just recently happened, Roman versus Punk probably is the best match of the year.
What's a butt for?
But no, I said
Or
but
pooping,
for,
silly.
not what's a butt for. I don't know, Chris. Let me go to you first on this. I mean, are we looking at a second consecutive year where SummerSlam is going to eclipse? See what I did there? Eclipse WrestleMania with the card.
I think that's the plan, Dave. I think this is what happens, and this was one of the reasons why wrestling was never meant to be corporatized. Like, it's one thing for WWE to go public and they had the stock scam and everybody made a gazillion dollars. It's a whole nother entity or a whole nother scenario in which you're owned by the machine and by the beast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that they are trying to build SummerSlam to be a rival to WrestleMania or to be on the same level of WrestleMania, so they can do a WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia, or they can eventually do a WrestleMania in England and stuff like that. And the fans don't feel like as if they're being cheated because, hey, you have your WrestleMania, it's just SummerSlam and it's here on this soil. Like, I think they're just trying to pump up SummerSlam and try to make it as at the same level as WrestleMania. I think this is a product of that.
And that's a really good point, Chris, especially with, if they're trying to make SummerSlam like on the same level as a WrestleMania or possibly above. You look at like next year specifically, we're going to do WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia, outside of North America for the first time ever. Um, what does SummerSlam 2027 look like? First off, where? We know it'll be a 2-night event. You got to figure somewhere in the States, a big event somewhere in the States where they could say, yeah, we dabbled with some stuff. Not to say they're going to do anything like to make WrestleMania 43 feel like glorified house show like they used to do with the original Jam in the Sands, right, Chris? But I don't think they're going to do that, anything like that. But it is an interesting concept that we're going to have basically two WrestleManias each year, their official one and then SummerSlam. And like you're saying, Saudi can have WrestleMania. We're gonna put SummerSlam and wherever, Santa
Plus
Clara,
double
Levi Stadium or something.
plus double back to all the matches for the WrestleMania matches that we thought we were going to get and we never got them for because of situation and circumstance. You know what I mean? Austin Hogan, Rock Shawn Michaels. I'm sure if you gave some truth serum to Vince McMahon and Triple H and all the higher ups, I'm sure they thought at some particular point in time there was going to be a scenario in which they got Rock and Triple H or the Shield triple threat as the main event of WrestleMania. It just never, the stars just never aligned for whatever reason. Like, again, situation and circumstance. So
Yeah.
this is an opportunity because Seth and Roman, perhaps they do get their WrestleMania main event at some point in time, but we've been building towards this match since the split. What was that, 2013, 2014, I believe, when Seth hit Roman in the back with the chair? Like, we've been building
Yeah.
to that moment since then. And I feel like at some point in time they're like, okay, we're gonna kind of strike while the iron is hot. We would love for this to be a Mania main event, but we don't know if we're necessarily going to be able to do it. So let's do it here at SummerSlam because eventually they're gonna have to get back together, right? Like that. Eventually, that's where this is headed. They're eventually
Well,
going to reconcile at some point in
I
time.
I mean, I feel like before I go to Tunney, like the thing is, and I think there is that mindset. Well, there's always time to do this, and sometimes there's not. Things happen, and sometimes it never happens. So, um, doing it at SummerSlam at least gets it out there in case that we can't loop around to these guys and get them into WrestleMania. We've got them here right now. I mean, like one of the like in we'll talk about it later on the Big Five project coming forward. Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold are a real good example of that, right? What we got at WrestleMania 14 was a very badly hurt Shawn Michaels going through the motions to try and pass the belt on to Austin, dealing with all of his demons. But like people forget, like after WrestleMania 13, we go to King of the Ring 97. One of the matches on King of the Ring 97 is Shawn versus Austin with a healthy Shawn Michaels. And you get to see exactly what that match could have been. And it's like, so it is cool, like you're saying, let's get this out there. Let's put this on paper. I mean, it's not like we haven't seen Seth Roman 10 times. I was at the one in Vegas in 2016 when Dean cashed in on Seth after he beat Roman to win the title. So it's not like there's no precedence for this. But with them in this kind of role, with Roman being the tribal chief, the OTC, and Seth having gone through everything he's gone through, it's the same, but it's different, that sort of thing. Tony, let me go to you, man.
You can't turn SummerSlam into 2 nights and then treat it as the second best. You have to treat it equally, right? Like you've already done that with WrestleMania. WrestleMania is WrestleMania and it's going to do what it's going to do, but you have to ultra energize and supergize, if that's the fucking word, SummerSlam so people buy into the 2 night thing, right? Otherwise, it's just money grab. Look at the card they're putting out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun on where you're going to go, but Raw's in Chicago on Monday. Sammy's defending against Cody. Punk's going to show up and cost Cody, and we're going to get Cody and Punk without the title at SummerSlam. And I firmly believe they're going to find a way to do Sammy and Chad Gable main event night one SummerSlam.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's a hot take.
I mean, Chad's as over as anybody is. Speaking of a beneficiary from the mask versus mask match, nobody, it was not, El Grande Americano, Ludwig, whatever. I have never seen somebody, other than what we're going to talk about tonight, somebody gain as much from losing as Chad Gable did in that mask versus mask match where he was conciliatory to everybody in Mexico, the entire nation of Mexico, to Lucha Libre everywhere. I mean, I would not be mad to see Chad Gable get that shot, Tony. That would be cool with me. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, who does, so I guess like looking around at the landscape of stuff, yeah, who does Rhea go up against?
Can I ask, can you put a pin in that for 1 second?
Got it.
Where it's probably night one main event, but where does Brock versus Oba go in Hell in a Cell? Do you have the balls if you're WWE to put that on the first hour on ESPN?
They
You know
put the
what?
other one on. They put the first match
Hell
on.
in a
I
Cell.
would.
Hell in a
I
Cell.
feel like they will, which
Yes.
will cheapen it because then we probably can't have blood.
Maybe ESPN's like, well, fuck it, man. Let's just get some people in here.
But I feel like, and this is doubling back to what I said earlier, the mini masters that you have to serve in wrestling at this particular point in time. If you're Paul Levesque, like, yeah, he's in a unenviable place. I feel like, yeah, that makes sense. Putting that match on ESPN the first hour because ESPN is trying to get a return on their investment as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like that makes sense. I just feel like it kind of waters down and cheapens the match because you can't really go balls out like you would on,
Right, because Brock will bleed, and even if they are on ESPN and they tell Brock you can't blade, he's going to do it anyway, because Brock
he'll do hard way. Like Brock don't give a fuck. Yeah,
Brock will be like, I didn't blade. I threw my head into this fucking steel thing and busted myself open. So yeah, Brock doesn't care about that.
Shout out to Brock. He earns his money, man. I know he works a part-time schedule and he uses all of his PTO. But when he's there, and he's gonna earn his money, man. I give him respect for that.
Nothing. I begrudge Brock nothing. He is earned, and he's like the no fucks given. Vince is like, oh, you can't blade, brother. Or let me tell you something, pal. You can't blade. And Brock's like, I'm gonna fuck myself up, like he did at 31 with Roman.
Right.
Talk shit, get hit.
Talk shit, get hit. It would be smart to do it in that first hour on night one. But yeah, I mean, does ESPN, will they sit there and say, it's all right if we get a little bit of color here, that's fine. Now, if they say that, then it's on like Donkey Kong. But
now, Dave, where are you? Because I know Tunney is a WWE fan. And I mean that not disrespectfully, but he's a WWE fan. I'm a wrestling fan. Where do you land on that? You grew up in Virginia, so you saw Crockett and all, and Mid-South and all of that. So where do you land on that?
I'm predominantly a WWE fan. I used to be very much into AEW. And then they just started to piss me off. Everything that went on involving the shit with CM Punk and releasing the video, even though all it did was corroborate Punk's version of events, and that was just dumb. You were going for ratings and that backfired. And as soon as they did that, I'm like, these guys are full of shit. They still do good stuff in AEW. Don't get me wrong. And they've got some. Well, they do. They've got some talent there. You've got MJF is good. I don't know what's going on with Kenny Omega right now, that sort of thing. That sort of thing. But man, I'm mostly a WWE fan. I like some of what TNA does. I like some of what AEW does. I like MLW and all that kind of stuff. But I'm mostly a WWE mark. I've always been that
No,
way.
the question I was asking was obviously today, but back in the day.
Mike,
Shout out
he's
to
good for
Whistle Mike.
he's good for another few decades. He might be. I mean, you never know. And then
He could
go ahead, Chris.
probably run this schedule, yeah, until he's in his 60s, like every other wrestler from the past. Yeah, Vampire Brock. But no, but I
Exactly.
mean just not necessarily current day. I'm talking about like just previously, like what were you into? Because well, I asked that to say, like, my thing is, red equals green. And I don't understand how you can have a cage match when there's not blood. You know what I mean?
Well, right. And this was one of my biggest complaints about the watered down version. The watered down era is what I'm going to call it, when Vince was in charge and they were trying to be corporate and nobody would. And it's like, wait a second, we went from absolute bloodbaths. The first Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood with Shawn Michaels practically bleeding to death. It's like shattering the Muda scale, that sort of thing. We went from that to now every Hell in a Cell match, nobody ever bleeds. How do you reconcile that with historical people like us? So I like how they're selective about it. AEW, if somebody breathes on John Moxley wrong, he's going to bleed. That's just the way it is. And that kind of stuff has always bothered me. But
Yes,
in this kind of dynamic, where they're selective about it, but at certain times, like Hunter is, for all of his faults, Hunter is a traditionalist, and he's going to hold to that tradition and say, if we're doing Hell in a Cell, somebody's going to bleed. Now, which one of you wants to bleed? But like you're saying, Chris, if we're doing and like you're saying, Brock will just be like, I don't need the fucking blade. I'm just going to bash my head into the wall here and it'll be all good. Like Goldberg did that one time. But I think it does raise a good point. I've only said it once, Tony. I haven't said it twice more. So just hold on.
Oh, we have that ability now. We have the power. Okay, that's one. All right, I'm on it. I gotta find it just in case.
But yeah, like you're saying, Chris, what do they do if they put that on that first hour on ESPN? Then what do they do? Do they water it down? Do they just ESPN say, we knew what we were getting ourselves into? Let's roll with this thing. It's going to be good for business. But I want to circle back to Tunney. Rhea Ripley. What do we do with Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam? There's nobody. I'm like looking at people saying, who's credible to take her on? Soul's going to be busy with whatever she's got going on. I will say this before I get to you. At NXT, the Great American Bash, I highly recommend you guys watch the Zarya versus Tatum Paxley match.
I watched it. It was excellent.
Dude, that fucking match is awesome.
Zarya's tits almost popped out. Not that they're probably not nice, but it wouldn't have been the first one on my list for it. But that Tatum Paxley, she's gonna be a player. I'm telling you right now.
But I looked
tits
at
are tits, man. If Dave popped a tip out right now, I would look and salivate about it. So tits are tits, man.
Billy.
There's levels, bro. There's levels. Let's not go there.
No, shout out to Dave, man, because Dave, it looks incredible, man. You've lost the gang of weight. You look phenomenal, man. Seriously.
Thank you, my
All
man.
jokes aside, seriously. You look great, man.
But like Zarya, I look at her as somebody who she's not ready quite yet. Mike he's not going to let this Sasha Banks thing go, Tony. He just is not. What's that?
Sasher?
Yeah, Sasher. I would Rhea Ripley versus Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, or anything like that. That'd be great if we could actually make that happen one of these days. But Zarya is somebody I look at who could stand in there with Rhea physicality wise. But other than that, you look at the roster and you say, well, who's really, Bianca's having a baby. Naomi's not coming back anytime soon. What are we going to get? Who's going to be the person to step in there against Rhea Ripley? Unless Stephanie's coming back. I mean, where has she been hurt or something? Or I don't know, just taking it. She's what?
She's hurt. She's hurt, and Rhea's hurt too. But I mean, I think she's going to be fine for it. I think the two leading candidates would be Charlotte, would be the most obvious one. I don't know that they're going to go Jade. I could see a fatal four-way, although what I would do, JC Jane.
I feel like they're locked into Charlotte and Jade for SummerSlam, like a one-on-one. Yeah. Maybe they can do like a fatal four-way or something like that. But I mean, like, Can we talk about the damage that has been done to Rhea Ripley? Like, if you would have asked me 2 years ago, I would have said strap the rocket on Rhea Ripley, and she needs to be the face of the company. Period. Like, I felt as if if you would ask me 2 years ago, I felt like she checked the most boxes out of anybody else, male or female, on the roster, and you could have built the entire company around her. And she just seems to have lost so much steam.
But
And I mean, the
Chris,
obvious match for her was the EO Sky because that's her hero's journey. She's never
right,
defeated EO Sky. I
right,
know they're homies and whatnot, but that's her hero's journey. She has to
right,
overcome that.
right.
On the Odyssey side of the game, shout out to the Odyssey. I'm very excited about that movie because I love the book, so
Yes,
I had to throw that
yeah,
out there. But I feel like that was the obvious choice for her. But since they
yeah.
didn't go that route,
Well,
I have no fucking idea.
and you're right because Rhea's biggest problem, if she's cooled off any, is because there's nobody credible to put up next to her. You look around the landscape and say, who do we put up next to her? She's beaten everybody. I mean, Liv is a natural choice, but we've seen that. Like you're saying, EO Sky, somebody she's never been able to beat. She needs to climb that mountain, that hero's journey. But you get around them, and this is the problem with having Rhea on top, and why I prefer her in the chasing role rather than the apex predator. No offense, Randy Orton. Um, when you're on top like that, then you've got to have the right person. Yeah, maybe
There,
Randy Orton could take her on. That'd be a
there you
good
go. I
match.
was gonna say. I would love that. Honest to God, in a different federation where people wrestle everybody, Rhea Ripley versus Randy Orton would be spectacular.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's the Lucha Underground main event. Yes, right.
there it is.
Yes,
Yeah, it
yes.
really is. It really is.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, like Chelsea Green would be somebody if they did things properly with her. That would be cool to see her break through against Rhea, but we're a ways away from all that.
It's we're
And
too,
they may just, huh?
yeah, we're too close to SummerSlam to
Right.
build towards Chelsea like that.
Right. And they
But
may just give Rhea the night off. I mean, that's a possibility.
No
Nothing
way.
saying she has to.
no. We just talked about how they're trying to build SummerSlam as an equal to
Well, and
WrestleMania.
you
You can't
want
leave one of your
you've
biggest
got to
stars
have
off.
your most popular. She's the most
Yeah,
popular person
yeah.
in all of WWE, not named Roman Reigns, probably.
And this is the problem with WWE in general because WWE is a babyface territory, and the
Yeah.
issue with that because Cody runs into this as well. Your babyface is only as hot as your hottest heels, and I mean the hottest heels they have are the Bloodline, which are heels, but nobody wants to boo them because they're cool. Same thing with Trick Williams. He's technically a heel, but nobody wants to boo him because he's cool as hell, and he's
No.
got Lil Yachty there with him. Like that's the problem.
Yeah.
How many hot heels does WWE really have at this point in
None.
time? And that's why the Cody run has been stale, and
That's
maybe
why
that's
they need
one
to.
of the
That's
reasons.
why they need to flip Cody heel. That's your only option right now. Is you got to turn him. People want to boo him anyway. Flip him heel.
It's hard to flip Cody
But
heel.
there's nothing heel about him. You can't heal the handsome guy that is articulate, looks good in a suit, can go out and do press for you. He's got the beautiful black wife, the beautiful mixed race child. Like he checks all the boxes. He's basically Miz, but he can wrestle as well.
And I mean,
That's
and
that's
he is
a
the
little
best.
mean Miz, dude.
I mean, Cody
No
Raheem
shade to the
Rhodes.
Miz, man. Cleveland in the house, but you get what I'm saying, though.
No, Cody Raheem Rhodes is the best black wrestler in WWE right now. I mean, that's just, that's all there is to it. So, all right. Good conversation, guys. Good stuff all the way around. Let's move into WrestleMania 13 and talk about that. When last we left off, Chris wasn't here, but it was me and Tunney talking Royal Rumble 97. We knew that Stone Cold Steve Austin had finagled his way to a victory over in the Royal Rumble, where he was eliminated, but really wasn't eliminated. Bret Hart threw a temper tantrum, and off we went on this whole tangent into on the road to WrestleMania 13. So let's kind of run through.
Wait. Just real quick. No, he was eliminated. He just said fuck that shit and got back in. Like he wasn't really eliminated. No, that Melon Farmer was eliminated. He just said fuck that shit.
Right. The refs didn't see it. They were busy with Terry Funk and Mankind were brawling with each other, so they didn't see what was going on. Austin got back in the ring, eliminated. He eliminated who was it? Undertaker and Vader were fighting with each other. Then he eliminates Bret. Austin's declared the winner. So I think that's where we kind of left off, and then things got really weird. And as much as we're critical of the convoluted booking of how we got from Obafemi having the title shot at SummerSlam
I
to
know where you're
getting
going.
rid of it to go after Brock in this Hell in a Cell match, that's baby shit compared to the machinations we go through to get to Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13. So let's kind of recap a little bit just for the people who weren't here last time and for our good friend Christopher Platt, who wasn't here last time, so that Chris remembers where we are, just to see how convoluted and crazy we can make this shit. Because it's like, wasn't there an easier way to do this, guys? Just, but
It's only about to get much worse, Dave.
yes, really it is. So we got the main, the main event of WrestleMania 13 would be The Undertaker and Psycho Sid, right? So at In Your House 13, which is in February after the Rumble, Bret Hart last eliminated The Undertaker in a final, they call it a Final Four match. I guess it was a fatal four-way, that sort of thing, to win the vacant WWE Championship. All right. Bret Hart's on top. He's the champion. It's like, well, okay, that's kind of cool. Hart's reign would last one day because the next night on Monday Night Raw, he loses the title to Psycho Sid because Stone Cold Steve Austin interferes. All right. So he's one of the guys who interferes. Vader also interferes, even though Vader's really out of this thing and he has no further involvement in the storyline. So Undertaker gets named the number one contender and is booked to challenge Psycho Sid for the title at WrestleMania. However, on the March 17th edition of Monday Night Raw, Sid defends the title against Bret Hart again in another steel cage match with the added stipulation that the winner would defend the title in their respective match at WrestleMania. So right now we're kind of locked in with Austin versus Hart, Sid versus Undertaker. The only thing we're not sure is who's going to have the championship. This match is designed to determine that. But during this match, Undertaker and Austin both interfere in this whole thing. Undertaker comes out to help Sid because obviously he wants to wrestle Sid for the title. Meanwhile, Austin tries to. This is the ironic thing. They're helping the people they're going to go against because they're trying to protect their title shot. Austin decides to help Bret Hart because he wants to turn this submission match into a title match. Sid's going to win the match, retains the title. As a result, Sid versus Undertaker remains the main event of WrestleMania, and Hart versus Austin becomes a submission match that we all know and love and that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Convoluted to say the very least, right, Tony? I mean, there had to be an easy. It was good television to watch, and compared to the bullshit that we've been through with 1995 and some of 1996, not all of 1996, this as jumbled and confusing and messy as it was infinitely better than probably anything that we'd had in the past year and a half at least, right?
I think at this point, Vince knows the one thing he has is WrestleMania. And no matter what happens, as long as he has the right guys, people are going to go ahead and do that. But you got to think back to this point in time in 1997. He needs television to do better. So that's why I believe he wanted to have all this happening on television. Like a lot of the major, big, cool stuff is happening on television and not in the PLEs or pay per views back then because of the war that's going on right now. You know what I mean? It's almost more important your Monday Night Raw rating than your pay per view buy rate.
At this point in time, that's very true because it's a war they're losing at this point in time, and that's a really good point, Tony. That let's keep the. I mean, and that persists all through the Attitude Era, all through the Monday Night War. So many huge moments happen on Raw that the pay per views almost become like a side thought. In a
Only
lot of
winning
places.
on Raw, right? Giving the thing away, and that's the turning. You know what I mean? It's just nuts.
Yeah. Chris, what do you think, man? All this stuff that they go through just to get to where we end up on WrestleMania 13. It seems like there could have been an easier way, but Tony raises a really good point. Let's create this drama over 2 and 3 months leading into WrestleMania and do it all on television.
Well, there was a much easier way, David. And lest we forget, the initial plan for WrestleMania 13 was for Bret to get his lick back on Shawn Michaels at the time. Like Bret went away. I think he filmed Lonesome Dove or some shit like that. He came back. He requested to work with Stone Cold Steve Austin at Survivor Series, but ultimately the plan for WrestleMania 13 was the rematch with Brett and
And
Sean.
and to your
And
point, Shawn just won the title back at Royal Rumble 97 from Sid. And then we went through him dropping. They had that, that match for the championship because Shawn lost his smile.
exactly, Sean lost his smile, and I say that in quotations, like okay, full disclosure, I'm a Shawn Mike Mark. I absolutely love Shawn
Oh,
Michaels.
absolutely.
Shawn Michaels and The Rock are my 1A all time favorite wrestlers. Shawn is my most favorite in ring wrestler. Butter Bell, like those are my top two. I think Shawn Michaels is the greatest
So
wrestler in the history of wrestling.
you're
But
you're you're Sean over Brett, right, Chris?
yes, yeah. From an in ring perspective, yes,
No, overall,
yes, yes.
Dave.
But yes, go ahead.
Shawn over no, I would probably go Brett over Shawn. But I mean,
Chris.
it's like
But
you said,
I
it's 1A, it's 1B. I mean,
Chris,
it's so tight.
yeah.
yeah, but I said that to say this is why we got all this convoluted bullshit because Sean quote unquote lost his smile, and this is why the rumors persist that Vince McMahon was banging Shawn Michaels because there's no other logical explanation. I mean, he was the other than Diesel, and I love Kevin Nash too. Kevin Nash and I are Eskimo brothers, but that's a story for a different time. But other than Diesel, Shawn Michaels was the second lowest drawing champion in the history of the company at that particular time. And what other logical reason could there possibly be for Vince McMahon to put up with all of his bullshit? And I say this as a Shawn Michaels mark. Like there's no other logical explanation. That's why those rumors
This
are persistent. But that's how we got
this
here
is not
with
the
this whole
first time we've
convoluted
heard.
thing.
Yeah, it's not the first time we've heard this rumor. Our old friend, old Gator, used to say the same thing, and I used to be like,
Shout
I
out
used
to
to have the same
Gator,
react.
man.
I used to have the same reaction to Tunney. And I was like, you got to be shitting me, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm just saying there's not another. I'm not saying that happened. Like let me say that. I'm just saying there's no other logical explanation. And but
It's
shout
one
out
of
to
those
Gator. I hope he's
urban.
doing well.
He's
But
somewhere.
I'm no, but no, I'm just saying, man. But this is what led to all the convolution that you spoke of earlier, Dave. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. I'm just trying to give context to
No,
where
no, no,
or
no.
how we got here. That's all.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. I like what Tunney says. It's very good television, that sort of thing. But I mean that's really. And then of course you got the other weird storyline that's going on, which is everything going on with the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal returning to WWE to go into Chicago at WrestleMania, teaming with Ahmed Johnson to take on the Nation of Domination. And we've got the whole issue that we talked about with Ron Simmons actually injuring Ahmed Johnson. Whether that was legit, whether that was intentional or not, is another story.
I
Um,
heard that was a receipt, by the way.
it might have been,
There's so
and it's
much
not, and it's
weird
not
stuff.
like, and it's not like Ahmed wouldn't have earned that receipt. So
There's so much weird stuff going around Ahmed Johnson. All I want to point out is that how over he was in 1996 and leading into
yeah,
this, like especially as a black wrestling fan. Like the it was kind of slim pickings for a black wrestling fan in terms of seeing people that look like you excelling in the industry. Like I made the joke earlier about Mark Merrill. I swear to God, I didn't realize Mark Merrill wasn't black until he went on all Nancy Grace and all the news programs after Voldemort did what he did. You know what I mean? And y'all know who Voldemort is. Can we shake our heads? Y'all know who I'm talking about?
go ahead, Chris. Which
Oh, I'm talking
one?
about Benoit.
Oh,
I won't say it again, but Voldemort. Like
yeah.
I didn't realize that Mark Merrill wasn't black until I saw him on all those shows. I'm like, oh, he doesn't look black anymore.
I
Like
don't.
like
I don't
You
mind the
are.
way Chris Benoit being set on the chair shot. I
I
don't
don't
know how
either.
he feels about attitude of aggression. So you could
I
say his.
don't. We are, as part of the Big Five project, we will be covering Chris Benoit
Oh
matches. Get over it. I
yeah,
mean, WrestleMania 20, it's one of the greatest triple threat matches of all time. It does not mean because we say him by name and say the dude is a Hall of Fame wrestler on his wrestling acumen alone. I think we all agree on that. Whether he should be in the Hall of Fame for the horrendous, despicable, nightmarish acts that he committed to his family and to himself, that's a different story entirely. But from the standpoint of what we're doing here on the show, which is covering these events in chronological order, how do you not talk about Chris Benoit? How do you just scrub that from history and say we're not going to? That's like we're not going to acknowledge what happens to Owen Hart at Over the Edge 1999 because it's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible, but it happened. You know,
Fair enough.
Yeah, I
Fair
mean,
enough.
and exactly what Mike says. You can't have a WrestleMania without a giant at the top of the card, and that's what Chris Benoit was. I mean, it's just, and I often tell people, I mean, now that's not me saying that I advocate that he goes into the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying that at all because yes, you have to separate them for certain things, but at the end of the day, you got to look at the whole thing and say, can we really put this guy in the Hall of Fame? No, we can't because of that. Even if his wrestling career alone warrants it, you still can't do it. But you
No,
could
well
say Chris
said, brother.
Benoit here. Yeah, it
All right,
just
fair enough. Well said, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you. But
it's just the way I
the
feel
point I was
about
trying to
it.
make, that like people forget how over Ahmed Johnson was in this particular time. This is before the bloom came off the rose. That Melon Farmer was over. And now he's become somewhat of a punchline in recent years, and he certainly hasn't done himself any favors with some of the interviews that he's done throughout the years. But
No.
at this particular point in time, that Melon Farmer was over like Rover, man. He really was, and I was excited about him as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of the backdrop for WrestleMania 13 and how we get to where we are on March 13th, 1997, from the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago, Illinois. I'm so sorry, Tunney, but Vince McMahon is still on commentary. I know you're waiting for that day when we don't have to say that any longer, but it's not
What
today.
a maneuver.
It's like the fucking speech by Aragorn outside the Black Gates that Tunney hasn't seen Lord of the Rings. There may be a day when we yield to our fears, but it's not this day. Tunney, there's a day when Vince McMahon will not be on commentary, but it is not this day, sir. Because it's
Oh,
Vince
thank God.
McMahon, it's Jerry Lawler, it's JR on commentary. So at least you got 2 out of the 3, you know.
Yeah, and then like as much as I love Sean, like we get his ass on commentary too, where all he does is just go into business against Brett the whole time.
Oh wow. WWE should sign David, his son, to take this full circle. That's
Oh, okay.
Jesus Christ, wrestling, Mike.
That's stuff I want to talk about. Mike is. I like Mike. He's a good dude. Thanks for tuning in,
No,
Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Shout out to that young man, because I don't know how much y'all have seen, how many clips you've seen of him. He clearly has some things going on. Like the elevator didn't go all the way to the top floor. Shout out to that young man, man. Like seriously, all jokes aside.
If you've grown up with that hanging over your head, I don't blame him. That's as traumatic as they're going to get.
I don't know. Steroids affects your, sperm
kids?
either. That
Probably.
nature.
It is. Oh, never mind. You were talking about. Okay, yeah. Never mind.
All right.
Never mind. No. Let's move on.
Chris is having a pot is war moment.
All right. So the opening match of wait, Tony, what's the dark match? Is there a dark match or free for all match on this card?
It was a dark match. Yes. It was Flash Funk versus Bart Gunn.
No, Billy Gunn.
Billy Gunn. Okay, I beg your pardon. Yeah, I did research, motherfuckers.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Dave messaged me when you were coming on. He goes, "Tell Chris to make sure he watches it," and I didn't even respond to that, and I didn't message Chris because Chris is a research guy. He especially wrestling wise. But you've already researched WrestleManias, all of them. So I was like, hell yeah.
You did Mania Madness. We did that whole Mania Madness thing a couple years ago. And unlike a certain guy named Ray Cash, you will actually forgive me for making you watch a David Sammartino match. So,
well, that was the joke. Now that you brought it up, that was the joke I was going to make when I first got on here. Like me coming on here is like Dave Chappelle going on the Key and Peele show. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, or like you made me play second base. I'm going to go on a 3-state killing spree. All right,
funny.
The opening match of WrestleMania 13, the Godwins taking on. Who the hell is this? The Headbanger, or no, the Godwins versus the Headbangers versus Doug Furnas and Philip LaFawn versus the New Blackjacks, which is Bradshaw and Barry Windham, in a fatal 4-way elimination match to determine the number 1 contender. So instead of having a title match, we're going to have a fatal 4-way just to determine who the number 1 contender is. So in this match, I think I gotta probably put on my glasses, Chris, because I'm getting old, man. I can't see like I used to.
Doug Furnace is another one, by the way. I thought he was black too for the longest. Doug Furnace,
Who?
like he had a curly fro, and they always talked about his athleticism. Like, what do you want from me, man?
Dude, like they legitimately call Sol Ruka a black champion, and I'm looking at her and like, she may have mixed parents, but there is nothing black about it. I don't see any of that stuff in Sol Ruka. Anyway.
I'm just saying, man, these were the lean times in the 90s. Like nowadays, there's a lot of brothers and sisters out here wrestling. But in the lean times,
the lean times for black people, I love it, Chris.
Like shout out to Mark Merrow and shout out to Doug Furnace. He had a curly fro, and they always talked about his athleticism. And anytime there was a black wrestler, that would be the first thing they talk about was their athleticism. So I thought
this is the precursor to gingers being included. We just include Italians back then.
It's like saying she's got a nice personality. He's very talented, that sort of thing. So anyway, in this match, that starts off with a really dumb spot because after the Blackjacks combine to spike Doug Furnace to the ring floor, LaFon joins in. The four men start brawling, and a ref gets shoved to the ground, and everyone gets disqualified. So it's like, okay. We see this a few times in these matches where it's like, why did we just make this a 2-on-2 match if you're just going to do this? And I understand, let's get everybody on the card and that whole thing, and that's why we've done this whole thing. But it really just messes the whole matchup. It's like, why did we just not start off with 2-on-2? Why did we have to go and have a 4-on-4? But they quickly rectify that by getting a couple guys eliminated. Thrasher's then going to save Mosh from getting hit with the slop drop. Mosh is then going to nail Phineas with a flying seated senton to get the win for the Headbangers and a title shot. Not exactly the strongest of starts for WrestleMania 13 when we get a ridiculous elimination early in the match, and then the Headbangers get the win. Chris,
shout out to Furnace and LaFon. Shout out to Furnace and LaFon, man. They were a damn good in-ring tag team. They just had the personality of a raisin, which guaranteed they weren't going to be able to get over in WWE.
But they were, like we talked about in the last one, where Royal Rumble was at Madison Square, or no, Survivor Series at Madison Square Garden. And we talked about how Furnace and LaFon were super over with the New York crowd on that night, right, Tony? We talked about that. And just
smart
the crowd,
though.
They were a very smart crowd. Unfortunately, the rest of the WWE marketplace was not ready for them, and that became a problem. But Tony, what do you think of this match? Not the greatest of starts for WrestleMania 13, that's for sure.
No, I think they thought they could bring out a whole bunch of people and get everybody excited. I think the crowd was good. I mean, it's a Chicago crowd. It's always a good crowd. I mean, we do defend the tag titles later on in the show, so it's not like they weren't there. I mean, Owen and the Bulldog are on a pretty good run. They hold them for a while, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I feel like the Headbangers kind of got over more so than anybody else here, and I think that's where they're. I don't know if we're past that or moving into that with the Headbangers.
By the way, Mike, you have a better opportunity of getting signed with WWE than Chris Benoit. Yeah, than David Benoit.
He might. Hey, Mike, they'll teach you better than the intelligence agencies and Arrow have. That's for sure. That's a joke between me and Mike there. He knows what I mean.
I caught it.
They'll at least treat you better than those pricks have. But
is that Madman Mike that time traveled? Is that him?
No, Mike. I don't.
You know what I'm talking about, though, Dave.
I know.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Yeah,
I know. But Mike has done it. I don't think time traveling's on his resume, but you never know. He's one of the UAP guys too, Chris. So
nice.
Right.
You
if
never know.
Like time travel, we're gonna come back to this moment in time right now in 3, 2, 1.
That didn't work out, did it? So can we bring Owen Hart back at least? That would be cool. But I guess that's not gonna. It would be cool. All right, let's move on. There's really not, like, I think Mike's right. That's a weak spot for the WWE. Don't tell Chris I'm athletic. You can't see my face. Yeah, Mike is he's kind of the John Cena of whistleblowers, man. You can't see him, that sort of thing. But anyway, We love you, Mike. I'm just trying to keep it real. I was gonna let Chris think that you're this real athletic super stud, but you just outed yourself, man. I'm sorry. But anyway, on we go. Let's talk about the next match on this card. The Sultan with the Iron Sheik and Bob Backlund. Now, make this make sense, right? How in the world did the Iron Sheik and Bob Backlund get on the same page? It's like, wait, didn't the Sheik cause Backlund to submit in 83 and lose the championship? And all right, versus Rocky Maivia for the Intercontinental Championship. Um, the fuck you, Hulk Hogan, is all I remember about the Iron Sheik in this match. But I'm surprised Vince had to really probably rein him in during this match to not say "fuck you, Hulk Hogan," given the state of everything going on with WWE and WCW at this point in time. But go ahead, Chris. You look like you want to. Before we even get to this match, it looks like you want to say something.
Well, first and foremost, man, at this point in time, Shiki needed his medicine, so he wasn't going to do anything to fuck up his payday, so Shiki could get his medicine after the match. R.I.P. Number two, the funniest thing about this match to me is that they showed Rocky Johnson in the crowd, the Rock's dad, but they also showed Tony Atlas. So then at the end of the match, when Rocky was getting jumped on by the Sultan and the Sheik and everything, obviously Rocky's going to jump in the ring. But Tony didn't jump in the ring too, and y'all were tag team champions back in the day?
They apparently had a lot of heat with each other, from what I
understand. Oh, yeah, in real life, yes. In real life, yes. But I'm talking about kayfabe, you know?
Yeah, for all we know, Tony was supposed to jump in there, and he's like, fuck that melon farmer, as Christopher would say. I'm just going to let him get his ass kicked. All right. The match itself, I love this. They get all these, because having Vince on commentary isn't enough for Tunney. We got to get some cameo spots, some guests on commentary. And of course, we get the Honky Tonk Man on commentary. He's the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion at this point in time. And yeah, like you say, Chris, Lou Albano, Arnold Skolin, and Tony Atlas are all in the crowd at ringside. So it's just like the whole history of these fuckers are all there at ringside. Arnold Skolin, Bob Backlund's manager, the one who threw in the towel so that the Iron Sheik could win the championship. Like this is just batshit crazy here. It's an okay match, but it has a typical Vince bullshit finish because we get a distraction by the Sheik that prevents Rocky from winning with a nice flying body press. Rocky is then going to survive a pile driver and a thrust kick. It will eventually beat the Sultan with the second most dangerous move in pro wrestling, Tunney. We know what the most dangerous move in pro wrestling is. This is the second most dangerous move, the roll-up. So, this small package, Paul Smackage is the most dangerous move in pro wrestling. The roll-up's the second most dangerous move. And that's what Rocky uses to win this match.
Sami Zayn.
Well,
roll-up.
I don't know. Was it a roll-up or it was a kind of a victory roll sort of thing, right?
All right.
It was because he reversed the sunset.
I'm being a nerd. I'm sorry. I'm being a nerd.
You're right.
I like this. I wonder if Hacksaw drove Sheik to this match like he used to in 87. I don't know, man. There was a lot of people who looked like they were high at ringside. Whoever booked this match was probably imbibing a little bit of whatever Hacksaw and the Sheiky had.
You know what's hilarious?
Whoever had the gimmicks drove Sheiky, baby, to the arena that evening.
No. But you know what's hilarious? We talk about all the people that never won the championship that should have. Hacksaw was in line to win a championship and didn't hold kayfabe and rolled the Sheik and got punished for it.
Yeah. I mean, what did Hacksaw? His biggest claim to fame in WWE is what? King of the Ring?
No, he won the first Royal Rumble.
Oh, he won the first Rumble.
Yeah, right. Won the first Rumble. He wins the United States Championship when he goes to WCW, if I remember correctly, right? Doesn't he?
He did. So he did.
But we get this whole thing post-match, though. It gets good, though. The match gets much better after the match is over. Rocky Johnson saves his son from the camel clutch, and then Rocky saves his dad from a 3-on-1 beatdown. You got to say that was a very cool WrestleMania moment. Whatever you want to think about the cluster fuckery, that's like cussipus. Cuddy made up the word cussipus a few episodes back. Now I'm throwing cluster fuckery in there. So whatever you want to think about it, seeing Rocky Maivia, The Rock, with his dad at the end of this whole thing, that is a WrestleMania moment. And I'm not saying it's Liz and Macho or anything close to that. or Eddie and Chris Benoit or anything like that. But it is a WrestleMania moment seeing this father and son dynamic like that. I really dug that. Tony, let me go to you first on this one. Your thoughts on this match? The Rock retains the Intercontinental Championship, has a cool moment with his dad, and there you go. This was a much this is a much better match than the first one, that's for sure.
I love the dad and son moment, right? Like it reminds me of uh, Griffey's, um, the James right now. It's just a really cool thing. The fact that you get to see that kind of thing being passed on. I mean, we're about to see Rock turn in a different direction, but it was fun. I think it just shows how important The Rock was and how all these legends knew they wanted to be involved in this. Like a lot of these guys just could say no, but they knew it's Rocky's son and it's Dwayne, and they know how charismatic Dwayne is. These guys already all know how great he's going to be. That's what I take away from all these people being involved. That's a lot of Hall of Famers.
Yeah, everybody wanted to
Did
be at
they
ringside
know?
for it. I don't know, Chris, what did you think? I mean, there's signs that it's there under the surface, but you could say that with almost everybody in the WWF at this point in time. They've all got signs of greatness. They're just the wrong gimmick. Rock having that hairdo that he had at this point in time, Triple H being a polo player, that sort of crap.
The more
But like,
The Rock lost his hair, the greater he got.
that's true. That is very
Like
there's a 1-to-1 correlation between hair loss and greatness for The Rock. I wonder if Cena's going to have the same thing. Anyway,
he's
Chris, go
Oppo
ahead, man.
Samson. He's Oppo Samson. Samson cut his
The
hair.
Oppo Samson. That's
Rock
funny.
lost his hair, he got his trick.
That's funny. Number one, Dave, I apologize, man. I didn't mean to step on you. But to back up what Tunney said, bro, they were there for a payday and another pop. And the opportunity to get another pop. Like these are wrestlers, man. This is what they do. Obviously everybody saw everybody saw the potential with Rocky Maivia. Obviously it didn't hit. Ironically enough, it's funny because they ran back the exact same gimmick a few years after this with Kurt Angle, but they knew better and they knew to make him a gimmick, or excuse me, to make him a heel, because they knew that's ultra white meat baby face thing wasn't going to work at that particular point in time. So that's just an interesting dichotomy to me personally.
Yeah, fair enough, man. It's good. I mean, it's cool. Like Tony's saying, The Rock is going to move drastically in a different direction over the next year, and it pays off massively for The Rock and for WWE. Let's they all benefit from this whole thing. The next match, you get Triple H with China taking on Goldust and Marlena, and this is another pretty good match with some good back and forth action. The closing sequence, though, is really good. China is going to, she's stuck for almost the whole, or like the whole match. She's kind of like stalking Marlena, right? The whole thing. She's just kind of walking around, looking at her, kind of going back and forth. That whole thing. And near the end, she moves towards Marlena. Goldust has Hunter hooked up for the curtain call, but he abandons this to lift Marlena onto the apron and get her out of harm's way, get her away from China. Hunter's then going to hit Goldust with a knee to the back, knocking him into Marlena, who sends her flying into China's waiting arms. And there's some big arms. China bear hugs and ragdolls Marlena into fucking oblivion. Meanwhile,
this was
Hunter,
like at the end of the Naked Gun when Ricardo Montalban has Priscilla Presley, and it's clearly a doll, and he's doing all of that. Like it's literally like that.
it really is, except Marlena wasn't a doll yet. But anyway, Hunter hits the pedigree, gets the win, and leaves a despondent Goldust to care for a badly injured Marlena. Because, like you're saying, Chris, when she gets launched into China's arms and China just wraps those big arms around her and just like literally ragdolls her from one end to the next. And it's like, but yeah, exactly, man. But like Chris described it perfectly, it looked fake how easily she just ragdolled her everywhere in this whole thing. But it's a pretty good match. Goldust gets the victory here. Marlena is shattered in a million pieces at the end of this, so Goldust has to tend to her. And we're not at DX yet, but all the pieces are right there. And this is basically DX being formed in front of our very eyes as Hunter gets the win here. Chris, I'll go to you, man. Your thoughts on this match, and I know we talked about the China Marlena dynamic, which was fun, but what do you think of this thing?
No, this wasn't a bad match at all, man. And shout out to Dustin Rhodes. I was a fan of him back in his WCW days when he was the natural. The only like he could always wrestle when the bell rang. The only problem was his whole personality was Dusty's son. So then when he got to WWE with the Gold Dust gimmick, and say what you want about it, at the time did it age well? Probably not. But at that time, like we can't just go back and retroactively judge all history because shit changes. You know what I mean? We get smarter and whatever. But at that time, it really gave him something to sink his teeth into, and he really went all out into it, and he became a really reviled heel, for better or worse. But it gave him something to latch on to, as opposed to in WCW where he was just Dusty Rhodes kid that was having good matches. So he really sunk his teeth into it, or put his lips onto it, depending on what angle we're talking about here. but no, overall, yeah, like this match, going back and watching it, man, like this match was pretty good. And Triple H, nobody has ever questioned Triple H's in-ring ability, but this was a pretty good match. Like out of the entire card, I said it was a 1.5 match show. This might have been the other. This was the only other match that you could say, okay, that was good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like this match a lot. It's not the classic we're going to get later on, but it's certainly a good match. Sonny, do you agree with that? You like this match? Did it hit for you? Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, you have two guys that love the wrestling business out there, right? Um, the funny thing I was thinking about and when Chris we were talking pre-show about this facetiously about doing this show and how many good matches there were and stuff, and this was a good match. Um, the thing I think about whenever China comes up is just it's weird, but before her time because there was no one there for her to have a women's division with. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like if she could have come or could you imagine if she was the reigning champion when the four horsewomen came up to the main roster? Could you imagine if she was the reigning champion 5 years ago when we started getting Io and Asuka and Rhea and everybody else that's live and now and
Yeah.
Vikur and
We
everybody
talk
else?
about a credible challenger for Rhea. China would have been perfect.
I mean, right? So I mean, it's interesting. I just think about that. But as far as the match goes and everything else, like everybody's there to play ball. You know what I mean? And that's why it's a good match.
Yeah.
Can I give you a
Ch-
little pushback, Tony? Oh, respectfully.
I,
If China came along
I'm
today,
almost pissed
she'd
off
be
you had to ask me, bro. Why don't you just
she.
come at me? Huh?
All right, I'm coming at you, Melon Farmer. She'd be Jade Cargill. She has the look, she has all the intangibles, but the IWC would shit on her because she's not the best wrestler in the world.
um. Yeah. I mean,
But if
she
she
didn't.
gets more reps doing it, like she didn't get no
Well,
reps,
yeah.
right?
To play devil's advocate, Chris, was it because of like Tony's saying this is almost a circular argument? Is Would they shit on her because she's not their best wrestler in the world because she had nobody to work with at this point in time? Whereas nowadays, it might not be different. I mean, she would have people like Rhea, like Io, like Tiffany Stratton, for instance, or Zarya, Sol Ruka, Becky Lynch, all these other people to work on that may have helped her get her game a little bit more well rounded. Whereas we're still a ways away from Trish and Lita coming in. I mean, she's gonna like Molly Wop fucking Ivory at WrestleMania in a couple years in like just a joke of a match, that sort of. It's so bad for her that Vince is like, I gotta get her in there with Jericho and some of these other dudes and have her slam Mark Henry in the Royal Rumble and that sort of shit because nothing else is believable. But
But
yeah,
that's my
China,
point
like
though. Like
it
she,
is.
but that's my point though. Like she ended up working with the dudes, and to a man, they all say she was the drizzling shits. And I don't mean that disrespectfully to China, like R.I.P. Like I don't mean that disrespectfully whatsoever. But that's what I'm saying. Like even they had to work her with the dudes, and at that point in time, before we here on this continent were taking women's wrestling seriously. That what other way? What other? Where was there a better way for her to learn how to wrestle? And the guys, to a man, all say she was the shits as well. That's why I draw the Jade Cargill comparisons.
Well, like Mike's saying, all eyes were on China during this match, and a lot of because I mean she didn't get that ninth wonder of the world moniker for nothing. There was nobody had seen anything like her on a stage this grand at this point in time. Like, who is this? And like, yeah, steroids are bad, especially for women, but still, it's like you look at her and say, who is this? The Amazonian and all that sort of thing. But it's all a question of transition, right? We're moving from one era to the next, and there's a lot of these sort of like the intro to WrestleMania 13, which I didn't talk about at the beginning, which I probably should have, showed all these scenes of like violence and different than the first 12 WrestleManias. Like the lead-ins to them were pretty bright and airy and just kind of like fluffy pillows and My Little Pony sort of shit going on, and it was a different vibe. Whereas the intro to WrestleMania 13 was very much in your face, very Attitude Era-esque, even though we're not quite there yet. But you could clearly see that Vince was going in a certain direction, and he highlights it at the beginning of WrestleMania 13, which we should have mentioned earlier. But there's still so many pieces that are still moving that he doesn't have all of them into place, which is evidenced by they had 3,000 unsold tickets a week out from this event. And I mean, eventually they get 18, 19,000 people at the Rosemont Horizon. How many of those did they give away? Does it really matter? But you could still see the buy rate for this. I think at the end, we'll talk about the end, is 270,000 or something. And a year later for WrestleMania 14, it's 750. So
was it? Let me look that up because I thought they had got to 300,000 pay-per-view. Let me look it up. Y'all talk amongst yourselves because I thought I saw that.
Here's the thing: is you got Mike Tyson coming in next year though too, right? That's a whole different thing.
Hey, Tony, Mike's got a question for you here.
Yeah.
Are you in a sauna? That's a hell of a place to live stream.
In a sauna? No, it's just.
I used to make that joke too, Mike. That Tony looks like he's in his top room, but I used to make that joke as well with the wood paneling and all of that shit. I get it.
I'm in the upper level. I'm in the commissioner's nest, so we got all wood walls and ceilings going up in a triangular kind of fashion. But
you see how it is, Mike. Tony's got levels to his mansion, so
sure. I don't even know where the fuck I was going anymore, but thanks, Mike. No, good grief. Where were we going here?
We're talking about the pay-per-view buys for WrestleMania 13 and just kind of where everybody is.
Yeah, that's a tough sell though to what they're doing right now. I mean, you got to understand, the phrase "business picked up" can be used so well.
Oh no, I got it, Tony. You said Mike Tyson comes in a year.
Yeah, because
Tony,
that's where it escalates everything. Go ahead, Chris.
No, just real quick, Dave. I owe you an apology, brother. I thought it made it to 300,000, but you were absolutely right, brother. The official pay-per-view buys was approximately. I can't say official, and then approximately. I fucked up. But anyway, it's 237,000. So yeah, you were right, brother.
That's hardly low. But a year from now, they're going to get $750,000. So that shows you the upward trajectory of where we're going. 60%
of the time, it works all the time. You know, the hilarious thing I looked at today was the poster. And it's WrestleMania, and the theme is heat underneath it. And they're in Chicago, and it's March, and it was a high of 42 that day. I looked it up. I looked up what the weather was.
But it was hot in the Rosemont, brother.
Sure it was.
Sure it was. Anyway, let's keep matriculating down the field, as Hank Stram used to say, and kind of move on with this thing.
None of this Harry High School bullshit.
The next match we get is Mankind Invader with Paul Bearer versus Owen Hart and the British Bulldog for the WWF Tag Team Championship. Mick Foley was pretty injured leading into this match. He barely avoided having an epidural because he was having a lot of back problems. With Mick Foley, though, I mean, is that really surprising? Nobody was taking bumps like Mick at this point in time. He's taken an absolute horrendous ass whipping to his body. So the fact that, and I mean, like some people say, oh, he might have needed back surgery. No, an epidural is not a back surgery. Yes, they stick a needle in
No,
your back, but it's all about reducing inflammation. Nobody's fusing discs. Nobody's,
no.
replacing discs. Nobody's removing laminectomy or any of that sort of shit. So it's like, okay, his back was bad, but he tried some more conservative measures. He got healthy. He was able to do this match. JR is going to stir the pot pre-match though, as he comments that JR is kind of saying that Owen is like indicating that he's the leader of the team, even though Davey Boy had just beaten Owen for the European Championship. So JR seems to be trying to create some dissension amongst Owen Hart and the British Bulldog by saying, well, Davey just beat you for the European Championship. Why? And Owen's like, I'm not saying I'm the leader. And it's like, well, you kind of are. And it's like, they're kind of creating this awkwardness between them. But guys, honestly, this is a very good match as well. I think we're up to at least, if you take a half here and a half here, you're up to two and a half matches now, Chris. I'm just gonna throw that out there for you, brother. But I thought this is a very good match. The finish sucked. Okay, the finish is less than satisfying. Vader and Mankind, they dominate much of the match. They cut the ring in half. They really isolate Owen Hart and Davey from each other. So you've got classical tag team wrestling for most of this match. Very heel oriented, choreographed perfectly, cut the ring in half, beat up on the faces, even though there are no faces in this match, which may be another problem. But in the closing moments of the match, though, Mankind locks the mandible claw on Davey Boy, and they both tumble out of the ring. Mankind won't release the mandible claw. He and Davey are both counted out, allowing the champions to retain the gold. So that's where it kind of falls apart. It's like, well, it's really good up until then. And then you get the typical, and I hate harping on Vince about stuff because Vince does a lot of really good things during his duration as the man. But then he's still doing these fuck finishes here at WrestleMania 13. We're on the precipice, as Tony said, the precipice of the Attitude Era. And we're still messing around with these countouts and these bullshit finishes. And like, man, we needed a really definitive winner on this whole thing. And this is what we get. Mankind just won't release the mandible claw. He's disqualified or counted out. They both get counted out. And the champs retain. But up until then, it was a good match. It's just the end sucked ass. Tony, I'll go to you first on this one, man. Your thoughts on this match and the fun in the ending, all of it.
I can't remember the clown's name, Mike. That was with Mick when he went and visited Vince in the hospital, but that's coming.
Ethel.
Oh yeah, it wasn't
No,
Mr.
it's like
Saka. What was it?
Blurpy or something. It's Blurpy. Or
No,
something.
it wasn't Ethel the clown.
No, it's like Blurpy or something like that. Go ahead, look it up.
This is where Austin attacks him with the bedpan. The same
Yeah, that's
hospital
the
visit.
that's
Yeah.
coming. That's coming down the road. That's down the road. That's like 98 or
8.
99. What was your question again, Mike? You're awesome at distracting me, and I love it. So don't stop.
I was asking you your thoughts on this match with the tag champs
bedpan.
retaining with a less than satisfying finish.
I don't care. Mick Foley. I love Mick Foley. I think it was smart to keep it. I think this is where the Hart Foundation is kind of where they're at moving forward, and they have the titles and stuff. I think we're gonna get to Brett. Are we past Brett with the cast already, or is that this summer?
No, not yet. We haven't made it to Brett with the cast yet.
Okay, so
Brett's still a baby face up until like 2 matches from now when Dave talks about it.
Yeah, it was good. It's fine.
It was
funny
fine.
to
He broke out the F word, Chris. You know what that means? He broke out the F word. Not fake, but fine.
Hey.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah. Like, it's funny to me because, leading into this match, obviously Bulldog and Owen RIP are going to go on to be part of the biggest heel stable in the whole company. And of course, we know where Mick Foley is going from this. But leading into this match, Vader was the biggest name there. And maybe that's me not necessarily being a WWE guy, just being a more of a pro wrestling guy. And that's no disrespect to anybody. but Vader was a main eventer in every other territory he was in other than WWF. And he came into WWF on top. Didn't work out. Obviously, we know that, situations and circumstances. But
Sean.
it's funny because it's funny looking to where we're heading, and the other three guys are going to be main eventers, and Vader's not long for this territory, quite frankly.
And we've talked about it on this show a couple times, Chris. Vader goes off the rails because he pisses off Shawn Michaels. And that match they had at SummerSlam 96 where Vader does a fuck up and he botches it and Shawn kicks him for real. And then he goes to Vince afterward and said, screw this guy. And Vince pivots to Sid. And that's pretty much the writing on the wall for Vader. So, like you're saying, though, he was a big star in every territory he's been in. The stuff he did with Sting in WCW is legendary.
Cactus Jack, too. They had a legendary feud as well.
Yeah, it just didn't translate into WWE, and there's really just one reason for that, and his name is Shawn Michaels. And Shawn will tell you that. Shawn will tell you that nowadays. It's like, yeah, I was an arrogant piece of shit, and I shouldn't have done that, but it is what it is.
At the same time,
too. That didn't help. He stunk.
At the
he
same
never
time,
washed his gear. That's why Brett didn't want to work with him, because he never washed his gear. And he was also a little rough with guys too. Like Stevie Ray talked about that, man. They had a match and Vader got a little rough with him and Stevie got a little rough back. And then, yeah, he a little stiff. And then Vader apologized to Stevie in the locker room after the match. So
why Stan Hansen poked his fucking eye out, right?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
At the same time, there isn't much room for Vader, what they're going to be doing moving forward. He is not an Attitude Era guy. He just isn't.
No, he's not.
Not without a manager.
And they're going to get a really big show coming in, during the Attitude Era that is much better than.
No. The replacement for Vader is Kane, the Mask.
Well, yeah.
The replacement for Vader was Sid, man.
Go read up on your history, bro.
Okay, fair enough.
Speaking of history,
sorry, that felt really old school. Pot is where I didn't mean to come at you like that tonight, man.
Bro, come on, man. It's you and I, man. It's all good. Yeah,
okay.
I'm not tripping on that.
He didn't call you a bitch this time. That's progress.
Exactly. Yes, this is progress. Thank you, Dave.
like fuck you, like 12 times in a row, I think.
Yeah. No. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not tripping on that, man. It's all good.
All right, sorry.
Speaking of history, let's talk some history. The next match is, of course, I think universally, guys, right? And I don't think you guys will disagree with me. There's 3 to 5. Someone cheer. Oh no, wrong one. This one. He's taken too many chair shots, Mike. That we can't chair shot Tunney anymore. So.
No, he's taking too many shotguns and keg stands.
All right. I think universally, anybody who's a pro wrestling fan, when you talk about the history of WrestleMania, there's anywhere between 3 to 5 matches that you could say top 5 of all time, right? I think we all agree. Universally, you're going to say Savage Steamboat's on that list. Taker Shawn from 25 is on that list. And the match we're about to talk about, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart, the submission match from WrestleMania 13 is on that list. And you could probably add Roman versus Cody from 40 on that list as well. I think that's a safe thing at this point in time. Tunney's like, Tunney, I didn't add Owens versus Austin to that list because you still think that's not a match. But
don't humor him, Dave. Don't humor him. Let him stew in his own fucked up juices with that, okay? Please. He's still kayfabing. He's kayfabing on that.
Yeah. All that aside, we could all agree this match we're about to discuss is one of the top 3 of all time at WrestleMania, gentlemen. I think we could all agree on that.
Top 3 most important. It's the most important WWF match since Hogan Andre.
That's a good point. Tony, you agree with that statement?
I agree. I agree with the vicinity we're living in.
I got you.
I don't. What the fuck are you talking about?
I can't like just drop it. You can't. It's not in my top 3. I don't want to get any heat right now. I just want to move on.
Wait.
Austin.
I'm not talking about okay. Maybe Dave and I are saying two different things. I'm not gonna put words in Dave's mouth. He's a lawyer for Christ's sakes. He knows how to talk. But I mean, I'm talking about in terms of historical relevance. It's the most important WWF match, at least since Hogan Andre. And I don't even think that's debatable.
There's a very good argument for that.
Yeah, okay. That's fair enough. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens in this match that is it's so iconic in so many different ways, and it blends. This is the springboard for the Attitude Era in this match right here. I don't think we can dispute that whatever you want to think about where you're going to put it, this match has everything that is the Attitude Era rolled into however long this lasts, 20 minutes or whatever it is, or 17 minutes or whatever it is. It is a submission match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart. Tony's going to look up how long did this match go. Um,
2205.
2205. And it's awesome for all of it. Ken Shamrock is the special guest referee. Now, something I discovered learning, doing the research in this that I did not know is that Ken Shamrock was slated to sign with New Japan Pro Wrestling right before he did this, but they never put pen to paper and they never worked out all the details with NJPW. And, if you've got just kind of a gentleman's agreement, Vince is going to swoop in and snag your ass. And that is exactly what Vince McMahon did. He swooped in, he grabbed Ken Shamrock from NJPW. He was gonna I think he was gonna fight Shinya Hashimoto for the IWGP Heavyweight Crown at the Tokyo Dome in April. That was the plan. That doesn't happen because
Bless
Vince
you.
signed. What's up? Oh,
What
bless
was
you.
the
Thank you.
guy's name? Yeah, what was the guy's name?
You're gonna
Really?
make me say it again. Shinya Hashimoto. Bless
Oh,
you.
Arjun.
Yeah.
You do, and you'll clean it up.
But Vince, this is important though because Vince signs Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock, former UFC champion. In this era where WWE is trying to transition from this new generation bullshit to where we're going with the Attitude Era, Ken Shamrock is huge as far as this whole transition goes. And, it adds a level of credibility to what he's trying to do. It adds a level of toughness. We're not talking about guys wearing polka dots or Duke the Dumpster Drosy or any of this other shit going on. Now we've got a real, legitimate, tough guy. Before Brock Lesnar ever shows up, it is Ken Shamrock. And yeah, like Mike's saying, a lot of hype on Shamrock back in the late 90s for all of us. A true fighter coming in, good addition. I would only disagree with Mike in one respect. It's a great addition. And that's all I would say. At this point in time, adding Shamrock to the mix is a great addition. And it just adds so many different elements to what is already going to be one of the most iconic matches of all time. I don't think, that can be disputed. Now, this ends up being Bret Hart's last WrestleMania match, except for the brawl with Vince. If you want to count that as a match, Tony, is that a match? I guess that counts as a match, right?
Don't ask him, Dave. You know better. You know better.
Living
It
the
wasn't a
gimmick.
great match, but it was a match nonetheless. Don't ask him things like that.
I
Yeah.
am having so much fun right now, by the way.
This is Bret Hart's. This is the part that's interesting. This is Bret Hart's 12th consecutive WrestleMania match. So he's going to hold that record until Taker's going to beat it later on down the line as we're going through the streak and all that sort of stuff. But this is his 12th WrestleMania match in a row. It's like, okay, I'm thinking about it. He was not on the card at WrestleMania 1, but 2, 3, 4,
Yeah, he
5.
was there too.
He's
Yeah.
there from 2 through
Yeah.
12, 2 through 13. That's impressive. This will end up being Bret's last match, though, until whatever happens with Vince McMahon, that sort of thing. Consider a match or don't. It's up to you, your discretion. But man, let's talk about the match. I mean, and it's a match that we've all seen so many times, and it's just iconic for so many different reasons. I don't even think I need to read my notes on this, but I'm going to anyway, just to make sure I didn't forget anything. There's
I'm
so many
laughing
things
at
going
you,
on.
man, because you threw your glasses on, and I swear to God, man, I probably need glasses too, but I'm trying to hold on before I go to the
I
eye doctor and they tell me I
I
need
hear you. No,
glasses.
these are just reading glasses, Chris. This is just I bought these at the store. They just help me read stupid things better, like my own writing.
I know it's coming because I get shit and then I got to put it in the light and then I still do this, so I know it's coming. You know,
Yeah. Um, you know, the match itself, it's an absolute war, and it's ends up being a bloodbath, and it's notorious for the most the most well recognized and the best double turn of all time. And I say that with a caveat because it's not like when you watch the reactions of the guys coming in this match, right? It is not like Austin goes in there with no support. He's got a shit ton of support. So the turn was already happening. All they needed was to nudge Brett a little bit. People were already starting to turn against Brett. They're already starting to turn against Austin. This is just like, all right, we're going to take this from kind of creeping along and turbocharge this bitch. And that's what happens at the end of the match with the double turn. Now, it's interesting that remember earlier we talked about the whole thing with Brock and Obafemi and whether they're going to lead off the free part of SummerSlam and do it on ESPN. And Chris, you raised a really good point. Will they let them get color in that sort of match because it's on the free thing? And this ties another tie in to WrestleMania 13 is that, Vince had this very strict rule, no blading at WrestleMania during this time frame. Um, Austin and Brett had already decided they were going to do this. So again, you've got two guys with a stature high enough that they're like, the old man doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. This match needs color. But Austin got a little trepidatious about it near the end, like even like right before the spot where he gets thrown into the guardrail. And what I didn't realize is that it's Brett who blades Austin. It's not Austin who blades himself. Brett's actually the one who does it to him, which goes to show, oh my God, how much trust did Stone Cold Steve Austin have with Bret Hart to sit there and say, yeah, brother, you go ahead and do the job on me. I trust you implicitly, completely. Now, if Austin doesn't get color in this match, this does not have the same impact. I think we can all agree on that because what makes this match as iconic as it is Austin locked in the sharpshooter, that blood running down his face, including like that drop of blood coming off one of his teeth at one point, that iconic visage of him that was on the back of t-shirts everywhere with the whole Austin 316 thing. Him just not giving up, not submitting, Brett not letting the hole go. And this is like one of the first examples I could recall, guys, of a match of this magnitude, of a submission match like this, ending not because the guy quits or taps out, but because he can't respond. And this will become a much more prevalent theme going forward. And it's kind of like the ultimate rite of passage in these submission matches or any sort of match where there's a submission. It's not necessarily the tap out, it's where somebody passes out, can't respond. That's what happens here. Austin loses. Brett wins this thing, of course, by submission because Austin can't respond. Then you get the whole thing where he won't let the hole go. He attacks Austin even more. Shamrock's got to get involved in this whole thing. And he's like challenging Brett to fight. And Brett's like, no, I'm going to think twice about this thing. He leaves their crescendo of boos. Austin leaves with all even more support in this whole thing. It is, yes, it is the best double turn of all time. But what I'm saying is, it didn't need much of a nudge to really get us to where we needed to go. But from this moment forward, Austin is going to skyrocket in popularity. 316 shirts are going to sell out everywhere. Brett becomes the most hated guy in WWE, every place except Canada, as we will talk about later on in the Big Five Project with Canadian Stampede, which will be our first official side quest in the history of the Big Five Project. We will be talking about that. But it gets very interesting from here. Chris, I want to go to you first on this one. Your thoughts on whatever you want to think. One of the most iconic matches in WrestleMania, pro wrestling history, dare I say. It really does kick off the most lucrative era. I mean, you could say what you want about the current era and the Bloodline era and all that stuff, but this flips the script completely. This takes WCW out of the driver's position, the high ground that they've had for a while, and now momentum clearly shifts to WWE in this match and in this moment. I yield the floor to you, sir.
Oh my god, man, there's so much meat on the bone here. Number one, you can't really compare the modern era to that back then because back then they had to sing for their supper. At this point in time, they're basically the NFL. Like the Shield sells it. It's not the baby faces or the Hills or the wrestlers themselves. Like it's the Shield. Like
Well, like
people
you're
tune
saying, they're
into
not.
WWE.
Nobody's fighting for their survival right now.
No, no, no,
Presently, back in
no.
'97, they're fighting to survive as a company.
Yes. Yeah. Another thing, I gotta say, man, if I was a wrestler, I think that Bret Hart is literally the only wrestler that I would possibly trust to get my color for me. I don't think there's another wrestler in the history of the planet that I would trust to get my color for me than Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Um, this
Well,
thing, like, bro,
not even Benoit.
really,
Yeah, well,
really.
Wow.
Say goodnight, Tony. Say goodnight, Tony.
Good night,
But
Tony.
this match, like, okay, so I I'm of the belief that other than hip hop and jazz, I feel like professional wrestling is the greatest American art form that we've ever come up with. And this lends credence to that. Like when done properly and correctly, there's nothing better than professional wrestling. And that's exactly what this was. This was a professional wrestling match. As Dave alluded to, man, like the tides were already turning at this point in time. Stone Cold was starting to get more cheers. Bret Hart was starting to get more boos. But the way that they told that story and at the end that both men had turned, like it was chef's kiss. It was, yeah, it was phenomenal. And it's funny because people don't, I don't, maybe some of our younger our audience is not aware of this, and maybe some of our older audience doesn't remember this. I go a long way back with Steve Austin. I remember when he was still Steve Williams using his shoot name until they realized that hey, somebody else has that name and he's doing big things with it. Going back to the dying days of the Dallas territory with Steve Williams, and he was he was a gentleman Chris Adams protege, and then they changed the name to Steve Austin, and then he ended up taking Chris Adams' girl Lady Blossom in kayfabe and a shoot apparently ended up becoming his wife, but that's neither here
Yeah.
nor there. And then going to the WCW days with stunning Steve Austin, where he was a pretty boy. Like there was
The Hollywood Blondes. Hollywood
the
Blondes then.
Hollywood Blondes, him and Pillman, or part of the Dangerous Alliance with Paul Heyman at the time. Like there was a legitimate argument to be made at that particular point in time that from bell to bell, Steve Austin might have been the best in ring worker in the industry. And Bret Hart even alluded to that when he was on his way back and he decided that Stone Cold was going to be his opponent, leading into that Survivor Series in '96. But yeah, this match, like, yeah, I said it earlier, man. Like, this was the most important WWE match since Andre and Hogan. Like, this set everything in motion to where we were going. And honestly, even to where we're at right now, like, this match is kind of the catalyst for even where we're at right now. And I could talk about this for the next 2 hours, man. I'm gonna cede the floor to Tunny so we can kind of go back and forth here. But Tunny, what are your thoughts on this?
I haven't been listening to you guys. I'm watching the World Cup, and they're in like 10 plus minutes at the end, and Croatia just scored the tying goal, and it's been taken away by VAR.
Okay, you can mute yourself. So going back to what we said earlier about how the convoluence of
Sorry, Dave.
situations and circumstances even led to this match, because this wasn't the original plan for WrestleMania. And it's so funny how fate works, right? Because I mean, what can it be other than fate? Like this just was what was supposed to happen, and this catapulted us into the Attitude Era and WWE or WWF at the time taking over the entire industry. But this match was the catalyst to all of that.
Tony, are you still stunned, or can you comment on one of the greatest matches of all time?
It is one of the greatest matches of all time. It's not even close.
On a show where we're talking about one of the greatest matches of all time, BT Dub, while you're watching the World Cup. I just had to bring that up. Like this is literally why we're here. It's WrestleMania 13. This is literally why we're here.
Well, welcome to the Big Five, Chris. Yeah, it's amazing. One of my favorite things about it, though, is the post. They didn't capitalize on. Shamrock nearly German suplexes Brett afterwards, and just kind of almost angle slams him and like lets him out of it and lands him on his shoulder. Why do we? I know why we never went there, but I would add Ken Shamrock to the list of people that should have won the WWE title. You gave it to
Well,
everybody
if
else over the next fucking 6 years.
Well, because if you listen to JR's podcast, the reason that they didn't go all the way with Shamrock is because he had dependability issues.
I could see that. I mean, it wasn't the whole thing about him snapping wasn't just an act. I don't think. I mean, there were some stability issues there, as Christopher says.
Do you think Vince was worried that at some point you couldn't take it from him?
No, I think he had dependability issues, and he probably had some substance issues as well, and that's why. Like, there's like if you go back throughout the history, it's like, oh man, they should put it on Razor. Razor had dependability issues. Maybe Bulldog could have got it. Biggest match in Bulldog's life. He went on a 2-week crack binge with Jim Neidhart and forgot the whole fucking match. Like
dependency issues, Chris.
Yes.
Or argue like Hennig and Rude.
All of them had drug
or they put it on RVB. Our RVD was hot as fish grease. What happens when he has the title? You know what I mean? Like that, yeah.
Sabu should have been driving. That's what should have happened.
No shit.
Who gives a shit?
Do you know why Sabu wasn't driving? Because RVD was probably the lesser of two evils at that point in time. Sabu was probably too fucked up to drive.
Those high bastards. Yeah, I mean, like to Tony's point, you know, like, or to both your guys' point, I think maybe like when you look at where we are, because 6 months from now, the Montreal Screwjob is going to take place. Shamrock is going to become a bigger deal after that, and maybe like you guys are saying, like with everything that Vince went through to get the belt away from Brett, which included screwing him over and getting punched in the face. Maybe he was like, you know, I don't need to repeat that with Ken Shamrock because that's not going to go so well for me because he may not stop at just punching me in the face. He may rip my head off, that sort of thing.
Shane wasn't quite there yet to be a guest referee.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He was an actual referee back then, actually, I think.
I think Shane was working as a ref. Yeah.
He did some ref work, and then I think he did some work on like Heat or something like that as an announcer, just working his way through the company. But Dave, I apologize, man. Please continue.
No, Mike, I was pretty much done. Go ahead. What'd you say, Tony?
I said, Mike, I drink a lot, but I know my shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just there's so much into this match that, and I mean, it's been dissected by the guys involved in it themselves. You know, they've kind of taken a look at it themselves. They've analyzed it. There's so much in this match that is iconic and epic, and it really does catapult WWE where we're going to go for the next few months, especially Austin. And Austin still, although everybody's cheering for him and they do this double turn, Stone Cold never embraces this whole I'm a babyface sort of aspect of things. He's still being the anti-hero. He's still being a prick. He's giving people the middle fingers. He's never, and he never does actually become anything close to like a white meat babyface. He's just always this gray area babyface sort of thing.
But that's why it worked. That's why it didn't work with Nash, because they tried to turn him into that white meat baby face. It's why it didn't initially work with Roman, because he was the cool heel that was beating everybody's ass, and they tried to turn him into the white meat baby face. It's also why it didn't work with Sheamus, because they tried to turn him into Cena Light. Like that's why it worked.
But the difference between those people and examples, and I'm gonna try and connect some dots here, is JR is in well. We don't hear a lot about what Steve got from JR back then, but I firmly believe JR's there, Steve's there, they're friends, they came from the same place. He's like, and I don't think Steve ever wanted to do that either. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a perfect scenario for the greatest professional wrestler of all time.
Yeah, I mean, and again, man, if you look back before his knees gave out on him and before he got his neck broke, I said it earlier, you could make a legitimate argument that Stone Cold Steve Austin, or excuse me, Stunning Steve Austin was the best in-ring performer in the business. And it was, but like you said, it was like you said, Tony. It literally it was a perfect storm of everything. WCW got rid of him. He was pissed off about that. When the Hogan thing came in, there was really no room for him there. His hair started balding a little bit. I missed his ECW run where he kind of cultivated the Stone
That's
Cold
it.
Well, he
persona.
was,
I
but he
missed
was
that.
hurt for most of that. So I mean, he wasn't
No,
really
he
wrestling; he was
found that
injured.
attitude
But
with
he was cutting those
Yes,
promos though as his
exactly,
hair started to bald, right? And
exactly.
then he shaves it off. They bring him into WWE. At the time, he's just considered a good hand, which is what I thought. Like, going back watching those WCW pay-per-views, whatever Stunning Steve Austin had a match, I was excited because I knew it was going to be a good match, right? But then he cuts his hair off. They bring in Ted DiBiase to be a mouthpiece because they don't think he could talk, which haha, the irony of that.
Yeah,
And then all of these situations and circumstances just kind of converge and they lead to the scenario that we come with. If the curtain call doesn't happen, Hunter Helmsley wins the King of Ring that year. You know what I mean? If Sean doesn't
yeah.
lose his smile, like there's no Brett and Austin match. Like it just seemed like
That's
everything
why
was
I've
conspiring.
That's why I've
No,
often
go
said
ahead.
on the big. That's why I've often said as we've done the Big Five project, Vince McMahon was the luckiest motherfucker in the history of the world because
Yes.
things
Yes.
just worked out for him, and
Yes.
they could have gone. But I know Tony's like, he's right though. But I mean, if Hunter doesn't screw up and do the curtain call, what happens at King of the Ring '96? You don't get Austin 316, or maybe you get it somewhere down the line. I'm sure he had it in his head, but it's not as impactful.
Can you call it
It
luck though?
doesn't work the same when you're feuding with a guy like the guy you beat. Is his whole gimmick is, hey man, I got sober and it's because of Jesus. Like it doesn't. Austin 316 doesn't hit the same. You know what I mean? If you beat Ahmed Johnson or whomever or Aldo Montoya, like Austin 316 doesn't hit the same.
As long as somebody's drinking Mad Dog 2020 and fucking Austin can rip into them, that's what matters.
I'll give Vince two things. He bet on Hogan,
Yes.
and he bet on Austin in the
He
fact that
doubled down on Austin.
himself a character because of Steve Austin and
No,
became the
no, 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 no.
oh
He became a character. No, 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 no. Just real quick. He became a character because of the Montreal screw job. Because he thought when he cut that
oh yeah.
promo, he thought he was going to be a baby face after he cut that promo on Raw.
I don't believe in the fucking Montreal screw job at all. I think it's all fucking fake. I think these guys have fucking held the greatest storyline of all time together. This was going to happen. It was a way to move Steve up and get rid of Brett. We're about to talk about the dumbest pay-per-view in the history of professional wrestling. Why do you give Bret Hart fucking the title at SummerSlam if you're going through all these problems? Now, am I selling right now or am I telling my absolute truth? You figure it out. But at the
I
same
don't
time, the
I don't
greatest deal of professional wrestling is Vince McMahon because of Steve Austin. He created that character as great as it was.
I know for a fact you don't think the Montreal screw job was a work.
Dave, can
But
you just
Yes.
fucking Dave for a
Yeah,
while?
you know he's
but
working.
there's a lot of people there. There's a lot of people who do. I mean, it's like UFOs. What's a bigger conspiracy? UFOs or that the Montreal screw job was a work, you know?
Time. I'm trying to sell the show, Dave. We're crying out loud.
You're the man. All right. We could stay here all night, but let's move on. I don't want to keep you guys here all night. Let's talk about, if like, trying to continue on from this, we get what we talked about earlier, the Nation of Domination, which is Farouk, Tony's favorite crush, and Savio Vega, taking on Ahmed Johnson and the Legion of Doom. It's a Chicago street fight match. The Legion of Doom, we talked about monstrous ovations. They get one of the big. I mean, CM Punk gets a big ovation in Chicago, but Legion of Doom are like, "Hey, Phil, hold my beer. Let me show you how it's done here," because they get a massive ovation from the Chicago crowd. And the street fight aspect of this thing is very apropos. It is an all-out brawl, plain and simple, but it's a lot of fun along the way as well. I mean, it's just a fun match. The guys beat the holy hell out of each other. People are getting hung in this match, Chris. People are actually getting hung in this match. And in the closing moments, Crush is going to get hit with the Doomsday device, then gets whipped chest first into a 2x4 being held by Ahmed and Hawk. Animal makes the pin. The good guys win a really fun brawl. Post match, Ahmed is going to hit D'Lo Brown with the Pearl River Plunge, and the two smaller members of the Nation get eviscerated with a double Doomsday device. You cannot make this much more fun than it was in this match. Now, there are a few things to talk about in this match. Ahmed Johnson wanted to fit in with the Legion of Doom, so he comes out with the spiked shoulder pads. Problem is, Ahmed forgot to return those at the end of the night, and this created some legit heat between him and the Legion of Doom later on down the line, who were like, hey, we never said you could have those permanently. And I think after Hawk dies in real life, Ahmed like auctions him off somewhere. We talked about Ahmed Johnson and kind of how some of that stuff was going on, but go ahead, Chris.
Okay, so to be fair, and I don't know, I don't know, but to be fair, Animal was griping about that, but according to Ahmed, him and Hawk were cool, and he gifted those shoulder pads to Ahmed. I don't know. Again, take it with a grain of salt. Take it how you will. I don't know. Like Ahmed has made some very controversial statements, throughout the years, and people have made some controversial statements about him throughout the years as well. So take that as you will. But I felt like that was fair to throw that out there. Number two, David, it's called a Road Warrior pop for a reason. Like, yeah. With all due respects to Pump, the Road Warrior pop is a thing. Number three, it was so funny to me because there was a lynching in this match, and you can't say they didn't know what they were doing because I believe it was Farouk Ron Simmons that put the noose around Ahmed's neck, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Farouk was trying. Okay, so Farouk was trying to hang Hawk, who was on the floor with a nylon rope. To counter that, Hawk kind of like jerked the rope briskly. Farouk ends up like doing a front flip down onto the ringside floor, so he gets hurt. Farouk gets really hurt in this spot. He had to be hospitalized and had a separated shoulder in this whole thing. So things don't work out so well. Go ahead, Tony. What's up?
No, but this was the half match that I talked about when I said there was 1.5 good matches on here. Like, this was a really fun brawl.
Now we're up to 3 by
because I forgot about the gold. I forgot about the Gold Dust and Triple H. Yes. This was a fun match.
Tony, go ahead, man.
No, I'm good. It was a fun match. It very much so was. The Nation is just building. Like, that's one of the coolest things that is going on here because the Nation is so important. It's so underrated as a faction because it's a jumping point for Rock. Like, as we're gonna find out moving forward, it's literally where he builds his chops, right? The eye roll and everything else, and the meme for that, and it's excellent because Ron Simmons is so underrated, and not just as a wrestler, not just as a character, not just as a performer, but as history. Like the first Black World Champion ever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that should be celebrated way more than it is.
Hey, man, you don't have to tell me. You preaching to the choir, brother.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And I think the Nation becomes critically important. And like you're saying, Tony, especially for Dwayne The Rock Johnson, because with all the die Rocky die shit that's about to happen and people turning against him, he needed to become a heel. And this was a convenient catalyst for him.
What's easier, being a face or a heel?
Oh, being a heel for sure.
And that's why we needed Rock to move into that spot so he could learn.
Yeah, they'll all tell you. Anybody who's been in the industry or been in the business for they're all to a man say, much easier to be a heel. It's a lot easier to get people to hate you than like you.
It's probably more fun as well.
I think.
Well, there's more margin for error. If you fuck up, well, they laughed at me and they think that I'm stupid. Well, that's great. That's what I want. If you're a face and you fuck up, you're fucked.
You're fucked. Exactly.
And again, I know he's been, maligned, and some of that is well deserved because of his own words and stuff like that. But at this particular point in time, Ahmed Johnson was hot as fish grease. I kind of feel like he got swept up, kind of like Vader, like you alluded to earlier, Tony. He got swept up in the Attitude Era because there wasn't really a place for him. But at this particular point in time, I thought it was building towards Ahmed being the first black, WWE World Champion, and I can't be alone in that sentiment. I know, it's
Yeah.
easy again now to make fun of him, but at that particular point in time, I thought that's where we were headed.
And I think you raised a good point, Chris. He was definitely a new generation molded guy who never found a footing in the Attitude Era, and he should have. There was no reason why he shouldn't have. Like everybody got gimmick changes and they all slotted in somewhere, but they never did that with Ahmed Johnson, and maybe they should have because he could have been something in the Attitude Era, but he definitely needed a gimmick change. No more red, tie off the massive biceps. You're not the Ultimate Warrior. We don't need the Warrior anymore. That sort of thing. But that's right. Load the ship up with the rocket fuel. You know
But
what?
to be fair, a lot of that was on him as well. Like he didn't do himself any favors in that
Well, he
era
did not
either.
endear
I'm just
himself. He
saying.
did. No, you're right. He did not endear himself to the locker room. And unless you were part of the clique, that wasn't going to work out so well. And it didn't work out well for him. So, all right, man, let's get to the main event. But before we get there, like you guys were noting earlier, Shawn Michaels comes out to a raucous reaction to join the broadcast team for the main event. So Shawn comes out, people lose their goddamn mind in Chicago. So Shawn may have lost his smile, but he has not lost the support of the WWE universe at this point in time, right, guys? I mean, am I right? I'm right.
Or his paycheck.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Sid contends that he is not scared of the darkness or the Undertaker. Yeah, we'll see about that. Interesting thing about Psycho Sid. He only worked 2 WrestleMania matches, guys. I mean, other than maybe the gimmick battle royal. Was he in the gimmick battle royal? I don't remember. But Sid,
I don't think he was.
so Sid only works. What's up, Tony?
Did he break his leg before or after that?
I don't know, but
That was before. That happened in WCW in I think 99 when he broke his leg.
yeah.
It might
So
have been
S-
2000, but I think it was 99.
So Sid only works 2 matches ever at WrestleMania, and both of them are the main event. That's a pretty good resume right there. He's in the ring with Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 8, kicks out of the leg drop because Papa Shango fucked up and that sort of thing. And then he works this main event with Undertaker where he becomes victim number 6 in the streak. In this match, Undertaker, Psycho Sid, WWF Championship. Bret Hart, Sean's already out there, so we need to have more commotion and shit going on to keep this convolution happening. Bret Hart comes to the ring before the match starts. He's going to talk shit to Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, and Sid. Basically, I'll kick all your asses. It's like, all right, Bret, whatever he's totally steering into what's happened earlier in the night with the double turn. Bret coming out. For his trouble, Bret gets power bombed by Sid. So it's like, all right, get the fuck out of here. You're going to kick all of our asses. Let me get you out of here. So after that happens, the match begins, and it's an okay match. It's kind of slow in a lot of places, and it's plodding, and there's not much sizzle to the steak, as Christopher Platt might say, but he's here, so he'll say it for you later on as well. So for a match with this potential, it's just a little bit too slow. That's my opinion on this thing. Sid is going to reverse a tombstone attempt, hits Undertaker with a tombstone of his own. That was a kind of a cool spot. Undertaker kicks out. Later in the match, though, Bret Hart comes out, and he's who makes a difference in this whole thing. He whacks Sid in the back with a chair. Several minutes later, Sid sets up Undertaker for a power bomb. Bret comes back to the ring. Sid goes to grab Bret, but Bret is going to slingshot Sid's neck off the top rope. Sid rebounds off the ropes right into a tombstone. Undertaker is the new WWF champion, and he goes to 6-0 at WrestleMania. It's an okay match. There's a lot more, watching this card back, there's a lot more outside interference in this match than I realized. And it's really Bret Hart who turns the match. There's so many places where Bret gets involved that you're like, well, if he hadn't been involved, it could have gone this way, could have gone that way. But it all makes sense in the end as to how this goes down. In the end, it's Bret who whips Sid's neck off the top rope. Undertaker's all too happy to tombstone Sid's ass. and take the WWF Championship. It's an okay match, a little anticlimactic sort of ending for WrestleMania 13, but not bad. Tony, I'll go to you first. You're a big Sid fan. You've always been a big Sid fan. Your thoughts on this whole thing?
We both love softball. Chris has named me the Sid Vicious of the chair shot. Um,
Have you ever been to
Mike,
Wichita, like Mike's saying?
I've been to Wichita. I've won.
Okay,
I've won softball tournaments in Wichita.
there you go.
Uh,
There you-
I there's two things that really stand out to me in this match. One, Sid nearly Austin Taker with his tombstone. If you watch it back, Taker's head bounces off the mat. Um, and two, Vince is clearly letting Sean on commentary troll the fuck out of Bret Hart.
Yeah.
So don't
Gives
tell me.
credence to the rumors, does it not?
I mean, I'm just saying. I'm trying to build towards what we're going to be doing here shortly because it's going to be big. But yeah, man, it's coming. It's coming hard, and it's coming fast.
What are we talking about again? Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
Talking
Chris.
about Vince.
Let's go up Pornhub.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. Sorry. This is the attitude of aggression after all. So it's kind of we have a reputation to uphold. Go ahead, Chris. Be hard and
That
fast,
you know-
baby.
Like, listen, man, I'm not saying, this match is Savage Steamboat or even Austin Hurt, but this match isn't nearly as bad. I'm not saying it's
No.
good, but it's not nearly as bad as people would lead you to believe. Like, people act like this is Heidenreich versus the Great Khali at the main event of
Wow.
WrestleMania.
not have
You know what I
Heidenreich up
mean?
card tonight at all.
I'm just saying, like, it's not that bad. It's not good, but it's not that bad. And again, Vince McMahon, when it comes crashing down and it hurts inside and all this chaos is happening, you go back to the big guys. And that was always Undertaker's role with this company, man. When they needed a steward to kind of guide the ship and keep it on course, that's when Vince would put the title on Undertaker. And there's a lot worse people that you put that title on than Undertaker.
Absolutely.
And Sid was over, man. Sid was over. He had a look. He had the intensity in his speech. Like he looked and sounded like if this shit was real, he would beat everybody's ass. Like that Miller Farmer was over wherever he went. He was on top.
They both were over. They absolutely were both over. But I mean, it makes sense to do, going Undertaker in the direction that they went in this event because Undertaker's a little bit more over. But that, guys, does it for WrestleMania 13. But of course, we can't leave here before we pass judgment on these things. So, Christopher Platt, it's your first time here on the Big Five Project. Tunney, are you going to CageNet? Can we still? Okay, Tunney usually goes to CageNet and we get their take on this whole thing. But I'll go to you first, Chris. On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give WrestleMania 13?
Ugh, this is tough. I would say 6.5. Like overall, it wasn't a good WrestleMania, but in terms of the historical significance of Austin and Bret, I feel like it at least garners a 6.5, 6.5.
Tunney, what do you got there, man?
Cage Match has this at a 5.96. It gave the free for all match between Billy Gunn and Flash Funk a 6.4.
Wow. Maybe I got to
Um,
go back and watch
Flash
that.
Funk wasn't a horrible worker, man. He just,
No.
he never found a gimmick
oh,
that really worked for him.
when looking at this, like everything else is under 5 until you get to like the tag match for the championship is just over 5. Obviously, um, Austin Hart 9.63,
That might be
6.2
low.
on the street fight.
That
Gave,
is low, man.
It's pretty good for Cage Match.
Well, that's true.
Fuck
Yeah,
Cage
this is
Match.
this is all grain of salt, guys. This is all comparisons. This is what we use. It's not what we believe in. We use it for these purposes.
We just use it for context, Chris. That's all.
No, I
3.
get it. I get it. But my fuck Cage Match stance.
3.58 on the main. I'll give this card a 6.5. I think there's some good
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
here, and when you just know that one of the unarguably, you can say one of the 10 greatest WrestleMania matches of all time happens on this card.
Or
You
easy
can't go
top
lower.
five. Top
Yeah,
five,
um,
easy.
Oh yeah.
inarguably top 10. Uh, uh, um, uh,
10 greatest, three most important, I believe.
it's at least I'll go 6.75.
So I'm going to come in just a little bit higher than Tunney. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Um, and I said this is actually better than I recalled. I've only watched WrestleMania 13 like maybe once or twice in the past. So going back and watching this, I was like, I noted to myself, like, this is actually better than I recalled. Brett versus Stone Cold, of course, it's an all-time classic. The street fight was a lot of fun. I think that one, I forgot how much fun that one was. There's good matches involving Triple H and Rock as well. The main event drags us down just a bit, and it is a bitch as well. But
Well done.
arguably, I think we've been talking about this. Royal Rumble '97 was kind of the beginning of the Attitude Era. This WrestleMania furthers that down the path because there's a lot of stuff happening here, especially the Austin Bret Hart match that is very quintessential Attitude Era on this whole thing. It's tremendous. Yeah, if that Attitude Era wouldn't have happened, this card would have been at least an 8. But it does, and Mike's right. It looks bad compared to what happened afterwards. Some aspects of it do. Yeah, absolutely. I think Mike's right. There are some aspects because there's still some of that hokiness, like the tag match we talked about with the double count out, which was nonsensical. The first match where two teams get eliminated for no reason, that sort of thing. But there's elements of what's going to make the Attitude Era great in this card, and that is a step in the right direction. Go ahead,
Dave,
Chris.
real quick, can I push back on you respectfully?
Sure.
I feel like the
I'd
impotence
rather you
of
do
the
it yesterday,
attitude
to
era.
be honest with you.
Well, nobody. That's why nobody asked you, Tony. So I feel respectfully. I feel like the impotence of the attitude era was Pillman 9 mm.
True. Right.
Yeah,
It's all of it is crescendoing at this point, right? Right now they're putting pieces into place that are like going to add the sum of the parts are going to equal the whole in about November of 1997, if you get what I'm saying, right? If you smell what I'm cooking, it's going to all come to a crescendo in November of 1997. But like you're saying, Chris, we talked about the buy rate. 237,000 households bought the event, which is down 18.3% from WrestleMania 12. That's a big drop. But then you look at a
that's
year
the
later,
warrior effect,
WrestleMania.
though.
What's that? The Warrior
I
effect.
said
Yeah,
that's the
W
warrior effect because
it
that's
really
what
W
brought
was.
me back when I found out
Yep,
Warrior was coming back. So that's the
absolutely.
warrior effect. Yeah.
Yeah. But a year from now, WrestleMania 14, where we are truly, I mean, you want to look at where did the Attitude Era, where can we say, no doubt about it, we're here? It's WrestleMania 14. And Mike Tyson's there, 730,000 buys the next year, a 208% increase 1 year later. That's nuts. That shows just how, for those of you who are tuning into the Big Five Project now and you've ignored all the bullshit we've done up until now, first off, fuck you. Second off, you're probably smart because you've skipped through a lot of the bad shit and now you're here to get to the really good stuff. The next year from here to WrestleMania 14 is a crazy, wild, unbelievable ride that we're about to go on. And I'm glad you guys are here to do this. Christopher, thank you so much for coming on, making your debut. The door is open for you, my man. Anytime you want to come back onto the Big Five Project, we would love to have you and your insight. Next episode, our next installment of the Big Five Project will be King of the Ring 1997, where you get some more stuff developing there, including Triple H and Mankind, and where that whole thing, one of the greatest rivalries in wrestling, starts off there. And like I mentioned, Austin and Shawn in a match that shows you what could have happened had
We're
Shawn
getting
not
close to
fucked himself up.
we're getting close to Goldberg too, hey?
What's that?
I
What
said we're
about
getting
Gold? What about Goldberg?
Oh, that's 3. All right, I won't drag the show down. There you go.
Thanks. Say his name and he. No, we're not going to do Joe Hendry. But anyway, Chris, Pleasure having you here. I hope you consider coming back for King of the Ring 1997 and beyond, because we got some good stuff going on. Where can people check everything you've got going on social media when you're not being Dad of the Year? Um, where
Oh,
can people?
stop, man. Stop gassing me up, man.
You know I love you,
I
brother.
appreciate it though. I
Where can
love you
people
too,
check?
man. And
Where can people check you out, brother?
well, first and foremost, thanks for having me on, man. This has been a honor, privilege, and pleasure, man. So thank you. I sincerely, I really appreciate it. Um, y'all can find me on Twitter at the Real C Plat. Maybe I'll be on there, maybe I won't. At me, I might respond, I might not. Shit, I don't know. I don't even know. Try your luck, man. It's like winning the lottery.
Try your luck. I love it. Roll the dice, see if the real C Plat will respond. He
Yeah, see what
probably won't.
happens. It
He
it
probably
it
won't.
helps if you show titties, and I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I like titties.
Tuddy, where can people check you out if they want to send dick pics your way? I'm sorry, no, was that out loud? Where can people check you out on social media,
Yeah, you
Tuddy?
can send those dick pics to It's Me DPP.
Yes, there you go.
Chris, man, it's great to have you hang out again, man. You need to come do this again when you can, especially with us right here. We have a good time. At PC Tunney, thechairshot.com, attitudeofaggression.com. There's great things going on. This is one of my favorite things, and Dave and I talk about it all the time. Like we're trying to become wrestling historians, and we're trying to go it about the right way, where we kind of go back and figure out what we watched and come on and have fun talking about it. And this is my favorite project. So thanks,
Yeah,
Dave.
you're more than welcome. I know, like when this thing first started, it was like, let's see how this works, and it has morphed into, like you're saying, we have come and become wrestling historians, and we've gone through a lot of the bad stuff, a lot of the questionable decisions that were made, and we are about there right now to the apex of everything good that happened in pro wrestling for a good 3 to 5 years of wrestling history here. As for me, you can go and check out, please, the website, attitudeofaggression.com. That's where all the stuff is. That's where Big Five Project is. Game Gone Wrong, as we were reviewing House of the Dragon right now, and that is unbelievable as well. That's the Attitude Era of Game of Thrones right now. And
Chris,
Unidentified History. What's that?
is Chris, have you watched any Game of Thrones stuff or no?
No, man, that's not my
All
jam.
right,
But
never,
go
never,
check out no, go check out Widow's Bay though on Apple TV. I just
That's a good one
we're
too.
not
wrapped that up.
talking
That's a
And
good
Game of
one
Thrones.
too.
X-Men 97 just came back
Yeah.
as well. We watched Bash and I watched those first 3 episodes yesterday. So
Well, then listen to Bandwagon Nerds on Sunday. We'll be
On
reviewing.
Sunday. Yep.
okay, cool.
We've got unidentified history going on over at attitudeofaggression.com. Hopefully Chris will come on there and we'll drop some DMT and try and podcast. I don't know if that's going to work so well. Probably
Yo,
not.
that either would be the greatest podcast ever, or we can't air
or
it.
the
But
shortest.
I'm
Or the
willing to try.
shortest. Two guys looking at the screen for 5 minutes. Like,
No, hey, Chris has watched the first 3 episodes of X-Men 97, Chris?
Yes, yeah. Bash and I watched them yesterday.
Why don't you come on Bandwagon Nerds Sunday?
I might, man. I don't want to commit because it's early where I'm at, so I don't want to commit. I don't know what my Saturday is looking like yet.
he knows
But
that
I
O'Dowd
might.
guy, that
Throw me
O'Dowd
the
guy will
link,
be there.
and I might. Throw me the link, and I might.
Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, that's like 11 my time, man. That's why I said throw me the link, and I might.
Yeah. Also, of course, check out the Attitude of Aggression's YouTube channel where this is streaming. Attitude of Aggression on YouTube. There's allegedly a link in there and that sort of thing. But that's going to do it, guys, for this episode of the Big Five Project and the Attitude of Aggression Wrestling Podcast. Brilliant episode. Beautiful stuff, guys. We will catch you soon for King of the Ring 1997. Until then, wrestling fans and aggressionaholics, like we always say here, stay aggressive, do it with attitude. We'll catch you soon for King of the Ring 1997. Everybody have a great 4th of July weekend. So long.